Hi there, folks. Welcome to Hitting the Mark with Harry and Mark. I'm your co host, Mark, and this is my wonderful co host, Harry.
Hello.
We are two idiots who love talking about things we have no idea what we're talking about.
Mhm.
On the program, we'll be discussing a couple movie reviews, discussing a couple trailers that we've been seeing. Let's see. The release of Call of Duty Vanguard. Is that right, Harry?
Correct.
And a couple technical issues that have arose with that. But first, how was your week?
Fucking got me. Um, my week's good. Um, work was work. Um, yeah, I think just
Enough
same old.
said, brother.
Yeah, and same old, same old. We watched. We went to go. We went to the movies. This past Thursday. So, um, played games on Friday. Yeah,
Dude,
no,
fuck
yeah,
yeah.
just same old, man. Nothing crazy. Uh, this time around, at least. Uh, um,
Uh,
yeah. How about yourself? Anything? Anything? No, your
Me,
week.
I'm excited. I am
Oh,
almost finished
oh,
with this tiny
son of a
ass.
bitch!
What did you do?
Fucking call me back 1 second, folks. Just hold on, hold on. Hey, Umberto. Yeah.
He does this all the time, guys. Don't worry
Uh
about it.
huh.
It's good. Yeah. hmm
Yeah.
Good. It's good. It's good content right here. Happy. Real happy.
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Content, 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 content.
Okay. Well, he doesn't have to be there.
Ding dang, walla la bing bing. Ooh ee ooh ding dang,
Yeah.
walla la ooh ee ooh dilly lee lee lee. Ooh loo 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 loo.
Yeah.
Ooh 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 ooh. Hey guys, when is a joke not a joke?
Until Monday.
When it's a
Uh.
sentence.
Okay. I mean, so he said to not. Is it backing up or is it just clogged? Okay, so it's
Ooh,
not
that does
backing
not
up. No
sound
water's coming out.
good. Ugh. So a guy goes to a doctor, right? And he says,
Mm-hmm. It's coming
Doc,
back up. Okay.
I'm having an identity
Right.
crisis.
Right.
I can't tell if I'm a teepee or
Right.
a
Okay.
wigwam. It's freaking me
Okay.
out.
Yeah,
Doc
that's fine.
says,
Okay. I mean, if he's
I think we figured
if
out
he
the problem.
if he said
I
till
says,
Monday,
what?
just text
Doc says,
David and just tell him, just text him, be like, hey, I got a call with about a clogged sink, but he said he's gonna wait till Monday, and just tell him what apartment number, just so they know for Monday. That's it.
you're too tense. Ha ha.
Okay, then just call him then.
Okay, that's fine. I
Yeah.
understand.
Okay. Okay. But all this is gonna get edited out.
Please, no. I had such a great joke. I had two great jokes in there.
Okay,
I had one
we'll leave
good
it.
joke
Okay,
and
who?
then two and an anti joke.
Okay, I mean, who else is listening to this, right? So,
Demetrius.
yeah. Um, but yeah, there you go. It's me getting called by a coworker when I'm not even, on the clock.
It is Harry.
Yeah.
You're reliable. People rely on you. You know why? You are an integral cog in the
Mm-hmm.
machine of your industry.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
You're
Um.
absolutely welcome.
So you're saying you're excited?
I'm not excited. Who the fuck said that? I don't remember what the fuck I'm excited for.
Damn it.
I really don't.
It,
We threw this whole thing off. This is heartbreaking. Heartbreaking.
yeah, just a little. Um,
No,
so
I remember. I
oh,
remember. I remember.
you remember?
I am almost finished with my little rinky-dink model.
Ah, yes, yes,
Almost
yes.
finished.
Almost.
This is the closest I've ever gotten. No, 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 no. This is serious. It's actually painted. I
Okay.
applied a new method for applying some layers, some
Mm-hmm.
salt chipping, as the nerds call it, to make it appear as though there's some paint chipping off, but not actually. It's more of an
Okay.
effect. And then I've got some panel lining, which is to take some ink and accentuate the recesses of the model,
Mm-hmm.
and then apply some scuffing. So I'll take some pigments and I'll rub them along areas that I think should get some like scoring or some exhaust fumes or some exhaust
Mm-hmm.
uh, uh, residue. So yeah, that's one thing I'm excited for.
Sick.
And then I'm gonna change my pace up a bit and try doing some minis instead of just like model kits of ships. I'm gonna try painting my ever loving Tau Warhammer 40K figures. So that'll be fun. And I'm going to try
Mm-hmm.
doing like a little mini diorama with them. I don't know. We'll see. We will decide soon. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. I'm just excited for getting this fucking Razor Crest model done and moving on to something else.
Right. That's good.
Yeah. And then fucking I watched my favorite fucking movie with my wonderful lady recently.
Oh,
The fucking Thing. The Thing,
nice.
and she loved it. It's
Amazing.
always wonderful when your significant other just like gels with some of the movies that you like. And we gelled over having the same director of one of our favorite movies, John
Oh.
Carpenter.
Okay.
I know. I know. So yeah, I showed her The Thing. I was gonna show it to her like 3 years ago when we got together, but we were uh, she kept falling asleep and like she kept wanting snoo snoo while I was trying to show her this fucking thing, and she was like, "No, come to bed." But 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 Niles, he's getting taken over by the Thing, and Gary, come on now. But nope, wrapped her little succubus hands around me, and then we never got
Yeah.
to see it until now. So yeah,
Wow.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Fucking women.
Fucking
No, I'm
women.
kidding, folks. We don't tolerate unironic sexism here at all. You take your unirony out of here, right out that imaginary door. But yeah, so that was fun. All things considered, I haven't seen The Thing in almost 3 years.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I haven't seen my other favorite movies in 3 years, Brick and Unbreakable. And yeah, I think I'm
Mm,
ready to show them to her.
yeah. Those are
Fuck
great
yeah.
movies.
Goddamn
I
right.
did. I'm trying to remember. Did I see? Okay, so hold on. So there's Unbreakable, and then there's Glass, right? Or no?
Yes,
Okay, I don't think I've seen
there's
Glass
Unbreakable
yet.
Glass. Um, I enjoy parts of it. I feel like it kind of loses its momentum, like majorly. Uh, I'm just so disappointed that Bruce Willis doesn't bring his A game in it,
Hmm.
because there was a point when he was actually an enjoyable actor, and now I get the impression that he's just kind of doing stuff for checks now,
Right.
and I felt some of that in Brick.
Hmm.
So I don't know. But yeah, don't let that take away. There's still some really great performances. James McAvoy and Anya Taylor-Joy, I think, make up the bulk of the enjoyment for me.
Hmm.
Um, and Samuel L. Jackson, I think, does a fairly solid job. I think Unbreakable is one of his better performances. Very reserved, none of the motherfucker attitude that he usually does.
Right.
Uh, and he does try to, as best he can, I think, uh, pull from that performance as best he can. But the movie does call for him to be a little more diabolical, which I don't necessarily mind. That's the movie in and of itself, but I do prefer some of the more subtler aspects of Unbreakable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Enough.
What else? What the fuck else? God, Harry, you just want to drink a shitload of cough syrup and pass out in like a weird daze sometimes, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know what that feels like at all. Um God, what a time to be alive. Anyway, that was my week. I'm really excited about getting some painting done. Really excited to get back into the funk of like watching movies that my lady and I like and going to the theaters with you. So that's always
Yeah.
fun. That's one of those things that we've been slowly, I think, as part of everything, we've integrated more frequently back into our lives
Yep.
and still have been really good about. Um I can't say I recommend it for everyone. Just like rush back into theaters because I know it's still like a hot button area to spread
Yeah.
stuff. But new vaccination requirements in our area do make me feel way more comfortable. Uh, Half and half, we do wear our masks, although I
Mm-hmm.
should probably be better about wearing them more full time. But yeah, I'm really glad that we've integrated that back into our kind of routine.
Yep. Same here.
Fuck yeah. Anyway, what are we talking about next, Bear?
Um, we can talk about uh the movies we watched.
Fuck yeah, we can.
Yeah.
And which
Mm.
which movies are those, Bear?
Um, those movies are trying to think. So we this past weekend or this past Thursday we played um we watched Eternals, but before that,
Oh,
last
cool.
week we watched a double feature horror
A
films.
bubble teacher. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. We watched some scary movies. I don't watch a lot of scary movies, but this time I did. Um, we watched first last night at Soho. Let's delve into that first, and then we'll talk about the other one after.
Yeah, of course.
Um,
Last Night in Soho is a production by Edgar Wright. It's his first foray, I think, into actual like suspense horror.
mm-hmm,
Uh, Last Night in Soho. It follows a young fashion designer who moves to London to pursue her dream. While trying to find living accommodations, she finds a little dingy area in Soho, as the title of the movie explains, where she begins to experience visions of the past. Not just of the past, but of a young woman trying to make it in London just as she is. Not in the same route through fashion, but through the club scene, the dancing scene, the talent scene. Things turn very sinister as we realize there's a violent, murderous undertone to the entire past storytelling element, and it's up to our main character to figure out what's going on. That's kind of a basic premise to the story. Um, I honestly don't know as much of this movie that I should. Edgar Wright is a phenomenally talented filmmaker. He did. Let's see what he's produced. He produced Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, The World's End, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Baby Driver is one of his most recent works. He's a very rhythmic filmmaker. He knows
mm-hmm.
how to cue music with comedy, and he has a wonderful sense of timing and comedic timing as well. Uh, so I personally think I need to watch this movie a couple more times to get all of the hints. How do you put it?
Okay.
Because Edgar Wright is a absolute madman when it comes to introducing little cheeky bits of Easter eggs or hints that kind of foreshadow the overall plot of the movie.
Okay.
Uh, that being said, I thought it was very toned down for one of his works.
Mm.
I feel like he toned down a lot of his comedy. He toned down a bit of his visual style, I think. Uh, colors are saturated. Uh, some bits are scary, but I really did altogether find he watered down some portions of his creative side. I feel like I
Mm-hmm.
I I don't really have much of a of an opinion on these two movies quite yet. Um, I would like to give Last Night in Soho another couple of watches before I dig too deeply into it. I will
Mm-hmm.
say I did love the synchronized acting or the synchronized blocking
Yeah, I agree.
between who's the other actress? Gosh, it's Anya Taylor-Joy and God, she's a slightly interesting beginning name. Thomason something. Anyway, uh, let's look that up real quick. Thomason McKenzie, yes. She was actually in Old with M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh.
Uh, Thomason McKenzie and Anya Taylor-Joy have like this synchronized scene or a couple of synchronized scenes. Thomason McKenzie is the young actress or is plays the fashion designer who goes to London,
Mm-hmm.
and Anya Taylor Joy plays the young woman trying to like make it big in Soho. And whenever Thomas and Mackenzie's character goes to sleep in this room, she wakes up and it's Soho, 1969, London, and follows the life of this character. I think her name is Sandy or Alexandra. She calls herself, and the kind of heartbreaking life she endures. It all starts as kind of like this wonderful, I want to be a dancer. I want to be a talented person who makes it, in London, and meets someone who thinks she can trust, and this person leads her down a road that many people tend to lead down when they think they can make it in the film or uh, Star Avenue, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
It does have a pretty solid twist in it. If I say twist, people are probably already going to know exactly what happens or are going to be looking for it. Should I spoil any of it? I'm not entirely sure.
Just
Yeah,
spoil it. I mean, whatever.
yeah.
It's just
Ah,
us.
fuck it. Hey,
Hey.
I like talking about it, so you
Mm-hmm.
know what? I will. So it turns out what ends up happening is Thomason's character is experiencing the life of this woman Sandy in the late 60s.
Mm-hmm.
She tries to build a relationship with this man named Jack, and Jack promises that he can get her on stage as a dancer, you know, uh is kind of like what's the term, like a showliner or like
Something
a
like that.
main
Yeah.
event performer, right? Like the top
Yeah.
billing woman. And it eventually turns into her being used as a prostitute.
Yeah.
She's like a backup dancer at some seedy nightclub and is used as a cash piece for Matt Smith's character, the man who she believes has her best interests at heart, but is now just very violently using her body to kind of
For his
enrich
benefit.
himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the movie does a really solid job at giving you the impression that this person, Jack, kills Sandy,
Mm-hmm.
and that not only is he alive, but he is still alive walking the same beat. Now, it's about three-quarters of the way through the movie. Oh, by the way, the person that we believe is the modern day Jack is Terrence Stamp, who I think is kind of showing his age a little bit. He sounds a little frail, but
Mm.
I'll never say no to a Terrence Stamp performance. He's such a wonderful actor. Uh, Thomas and McKenzie believes that this person, Terrence Stamp, is the modern day Jack, this elderly old man who this elderly man who in his past killed Sandy in the very same area, mind you, while where Mackenzie is staying. Now, three-quarters of the way through the film, we find out that Terrence Stamp actually is not Jack. He was a local cop who was actually trying to help Sandy, and that Jack, Sandy's pimp, was actually killed by Sandy. And Sandy has been killing all of the people that Jack has been making her sleep with. And I actually really was uncomfortable with that. I didn't like the idea of, oh, the so what ends I'm sorry, I'm missing out a significant portion. Uh, Thomas and Mackenzie's character is some kind of medium. It's made clear in the beginning of the movie that she sees visions of her mother. She doesn't quite fit in, but when she's in Soho and London, she's starting to get inspiration from some of the visions until they go a little awry and she believes that she sees Jack kill Sandy. And then afterwards, she starts seeing visions of men without faces haunting her. And we believe that these are malevolent
Mm.
forces and yada yada. And then we eventually learn that Sandy is the one actually who's killed these people. And she is the woman who now owns the building that Thomas and Mackenzie's character is in and has been kind of befriending her. I was a little uncomfortable with the idea of turning this character into like an unapologetic serial killer because it felt like it was going in that direction until a moment in the very end when she's in the room, she's being hunted by Sandy, the 70-year-old version of Sandy, portrayed by the late great Diana Rigg, who God is such a wonderful actress. If anyone does not know her, she was the lady of Lady Elena Tyrell in Game of Thrones. Anyone our age would probably know her that way. She's the queen, or the yeah, Elena Tyrell, the Queen of Thorns,
Mm.
and she was a phenomenal like 70s, 80s, 60s, 70s, 80s actress at the time, like a heartthrob. Um, she plays the older Sandy, and there's a moment when Thomas and Mackenzie's character is hiding in the that very room where a majority of this film takes place, and all of the ghosts of the men that Sandy has killed are kind of like attacking Thomason, but you eventually find out that they're saying help. And it was making it a little more difficult for me because again it's like I don't feel comfortable making these men like the victims, right? The movie wants me to feel bad for them. I'm not jiving with that. Then she breaks through the door, Sandy, and she's talking about, I had no choice, I don't regret what I did. And I feel like the saving grace right there was when Thomason said I know. And then she realizes, I feel like the movie actually did a solid job at acknowledging like these people are terrible. I know what kind of people they are. Uh, you know, Sandy's kind of, you know, she's done. She's through with what she's doing. The whole place is going up in smoke due to some, thriller stab person hijinks, right?
Yep.
So I appreciated that. I don't know how I feel quite yet about it in its entirety, but I appreciate the fact that they didn't turn it into like oh, she's like a Black Widow, and all of
Mm.
these people, because of the virtue of by virtue of them just dying, that they should be sympathetic. I like that it holds them
Right.
to account because they do a good job at creating Sandy as this actually very sympathetic character in the beginning. She wants to have this life. She wants to be happy. She wants to be successful. And you can see through Anya Taylor Joy's performance just the pain that she
Yeah.
goes through, like the life being sucked out of her. And Thomas and Mackenzie's reaction to all this is actually very powerful too.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, again, before I talk too much about it, I'd love to bring this up later just to discuss it. But at the moment, I don't really have enough of an opinion of it. I did enjoy it. I thought it was visually enjoyable. I thought it had a solid soundtrack. The performances, I think, were the strongest point.
Yeah.
Um, but I didn't quite have the Edgar Wright feel, the recognizability. You know, I think
Hmm.
it's easy to notice like some of his work in other movies or some of his quality in other movies, but I felt like this is a little harder. You know,
Okay.
doesn't mean it's entirely terrible, but what did you think, Bear?
Um. No, I was just thinking where you said they did great performances. I agree, but I feel like I can't tell if there's someone does a good performance or a bad performance. I don't think
Fair enough.
I have that I want to say that skill, but you know what I mean. Like I can't say I can tell whether someone like an actor did a good or bad job. Um,
Mhm.
I think I might be able to tell if they did like an exceptional job, but I don't think I can tell if they did a good or bad one. Um,
Fair enough. I
but
get you.
for the movie, I agree. It was a lot of fun. So my background for this movie is, I did no research beforehand. I didn't even watch a trailer. I had no idea what this movie was about when I walked into the theater. Um, it's funny because Livy was saying that like I think it's a musical. You know, before we went in, I was like, okay, well, whatever. You know, let's just check it out, right? And the opening scene to the movie is the main character. I forgot their name, but um,
Eloise, I think.
yeah, they come out of a room singing, and
Hmm.
there's like a little singing bit in the beginning of the very beginning of the movie, and I was like, oh, this is a musical.
It really is.
Obviously it's not, but it's just funny that that's that was my first experience with um that movie, and because I came in not knowing anything about it, I didn't know exactly what it was. So it was a pretty fun experience because I went in not knowing anything, and I think, oh, it's a musical. I guess it's not because they stopped singing. There's like there's just dialogue. There's just a bunch of dialogue. And then it just turns into more of like the main character trying to basically make their place in London and obviously not working out, right? Like
Right.
that beginning the beginning scenes where the main character's just trying to have some friends, but knowing that they don't really want to be there. They don't want to really want to interact with these people. Like these people are not nice. Um and I mean at that point I knew it wasn't a musical anymore, but I was still kind of like, oh, I
I
wonder
was
what's
I was
going on here.
starting to suspect something there.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought that was cool. Um yeah, I thought it was fun. I'm trying to think of if I would recommend someone to go watch it in a movie. That's something that a lot of people ask me. Do you recommend me to watch it at the movies or just wait when it comes out? And I don't know. I've That's an interesting question, right? Because it's like because it's still like you're recommending someone to watch it, but is it worth paying the $16 at the movies, right? Or just wait for it to go on a streaming platform so I can watch it then, or Redbox, right? Pay way cheaper for it, watch it at home. It's an interesting, to me at least, it's an interesting question because it's like, you know, is it, I don't know, like there's certain movies that I like. For example, Dune was like probably a movie in a long time for myself, right? That I could say,
Yeah, that was an experience.
dude, watch it in the theater. It's like it was Dune was great. um,
Mhm.
the past three movies that we watched, I I
Passable.
yeah, right? Like, Eternals makes sense because it's a Marvel universe, and I'm just like, well, if you want to be, if you know that, if you have already been up to date with all the Marvel stuff, like, it's cool to watch at the theaters, but if not, it's you probably don't want to watch it at all, maybe, like,
Yeah.
but Soho, like I said, it was fun. I'm glad I watched it, but I don't know if I would recommend someone to watch at a movie theater. Um, but then again, I'm not big into horror movies, right? That horror isn't like a genre that I strive to watch. Most of horror
Yeah.
films that I watch are actually more comedies. Like, when I think of a horror movie, my first instinct is like Dead Alive, Army of Darkness, Evil Dead. It's like very cheesy, comical, you know,
Blocky. Yeah.
yeah, like that's what I think of horror. Like, I don't think of like Saw or Halloween or Hostel, or what I mean, like all these other horror movies. Like, I don't. That's not what I think of when I think of horror. Even though that's what I should be thinking about, right? Um, that's not what I think about. Like,
Right.
I've seen horror movies. I've seen The Exorcist, Grudge, The Ring. I've seen some really scary movies that really, dug into like under my skin, and like, like,
Psyche.
yeah, like, like I've seen scary movies, and like they don't I don't strive to watch those, but I also like the horror movies that when I think of the horror genre, I don't think of like those type of movies. I think of very comical ones. So this movie, which would it be under horror or just thriller? What would you say, Mark?
You know what? I'll spare the long-winded talk. I'll say suspense. Suspense thriller.
Suspense. Suspense thriller. Okay, okay.
It
So,
strives for like a moment to be horror, and then it strives for a moment to be like a slasher, but it doesn't
hmm
quite do
hmm
either of those, I think, really profoundly, I guess
hmm
is the term. It doesn't
okay,
really lean into that at all. It's more of the thriller.
okay, okay. That makes more sense. Um, yeah. So even suspense thrillers, I can't. I, when I think of a suspense thriller, maybe Psycho, or not Psycho. American.
That's a solid suspense thriller.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm thinking of American Psycho.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, to me, like, that's a comedy to me. Like, I laugh while I watch that movie because it's so outrageous to me. So
Oh
it's
yeah,
like,
it's good. It's solid satire too.
yeah. So it's like, unfortunately, when it comes to genres, like, I I think of movies that are just funny to me, like, not what, like, for example, like, okay, I'm going off topic now, but like,
Harry,
if
you
I
you go off reservation. I want to
if
hear
I
this.
think of like an action film, I'm thinking of just Arnold Schwarzenegger movies and all the one-liners, and I have a ball, right? Just having a grand old
Oh
time
yeah.
laughing, like, oh, dude, that's
Who
such a good
killed the
one. Like,
dinosaurs?
the
The
Ice
Ice
Age.
Age.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, and then going with this, it's like, oh, what do you think of this movie? I'm like, it's a thriller, okay. Now I gotta tell this. You didn't tell the story, but there's a part in the movie, um, where um the older Sandy is starting to chase the main character, Eloise, up the flight of stairs, and
Yeah.
Eloise is like kind of like mid, like, I don't know how to
Oh god.
explain
Oh
it.
my fucking
She's
god.
like mid, like, hallucinating, and like,
Yeah.
it's weird.
It's like a semi surreal hallucination. She's like what's
Mm,
actually happening is the older we'll call her Alexandra. Alexandra is walking up the stairs getting ready to stab Eloise, and Eloise is envisioning Sandy
yeah.
while they are on like a ruby red like stair platform in a black background, and
Hmm.
like 60s music is playing.
Yeah.
Um,
So that's happening,
and then,
right? Yeah. So that's happening, and then what happens is and I mean, I was thinking this the whole time, right? Like, why not just push her down the stairs? That's not what happens, but right? It's just like
I won't complain.
she's an old frail lady, just like dodge one of her attacks and just push her off, push her down the stairs. Um, but what happens is she like the main character like kicks the old lady in the leg and makes her like kind of like
So good.
stumble and fall, like
Yeah,
not fall down the
so
stairs, but
good.
just kind of like land on top of the stairs. And I laugh like a good ha
You
ha.
audibly laughed. I heard
I
that.
I
You
audibly
got a good
laughed,
chuckle in
and yeah, I did, and this was like in the mid. There was like me what? So it was our group, which is 6 people, and there was like a couple in
a
front
couple
of
other
us,
people.
and there's like another couple to the left of us, down left, and it was super quiet, right? Because this was like the climax of the movie, right? And this happens, and then I laugh.
Busted out laughing, you
Yeah.
motherfucker.
I don't know. It's just like that. That's like my highlight because I'm like that was funny. I don't know.
Yeah. I
Um,
think hearing you laugh from that actually made it so much better.
fair
Like,
enough.
whenever I hear you do shit, like, out of pocket, like, oh god, it's so good. I was like, "Oh, this is kinda interesting," and then she gets fucking kicked, and you went, "Ha!" It's so good, and then I immediately knew this was gonna be way better, just from that. Just from that.
Oh man, yeah. I just straight up honked. I
Hey,
Voldemort honked.
I will I will never judge your honk, okay, pal? Your
Yeah.
honk is like that nice little chocolate chip in the cookie, okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But
fucking good shit.
yeah, no, it was a good movie. I guess at the end of it is because I don't really watch these movies very often.
Uh-huh.
Um, they don't intrigue me right away.
Fair
That
enough.
because I was entertained, it did catch my attention. That I would say this is a good movie. Would
Mhm.
I recommend people to watch it in the theater? The only reason I would say yes is because, like you said, visually, it is very stunning. There's a lot of fanciness happening, and the music they chose was great. Um, and hearing that in a theater would be probably. I mean, I guess nowadays people have like surround sound and all this other shit, but I just think it's cool to watch that in the theaters, probably. Just to experience it. So, but yeah, that those are my thoughts. I thought it was entertaining, stunning, and it made me honk.
Uh,
Yeah, basically.
oh god. Good spot to leave that on. Just
Yeah,
honked.
I
Good.
honked.
Okay. So, okay. So the next movie is going to be Antlers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to hear your opinion on this one
Okay.
first.
All right. For synopsis, I thought, so I've seen some trailers. Went in knowing it was a scary movie. I guess I would say. Um, I didn't. I just knew it was a scary movie just because of some of the ads, that I saw on Twitter or maybe Instagram. I don't remember, but I knew it was a scary movie, so I went in and I'm like, okay, it's a scary movie. Um, I didn't really get scared.
Okay.
Like nothing other than like some jump scares that were pretty obvious. Um, I didn't really get scared. The story itself was, I don't know, like I feel like is this I'm trying to is this a like it's not a remake, right? Like it's not like
It's a
a
it's an adaptation of
Adaptation.
a
Okay.
short story.
Okay. Because the story itself and how they're portraying it was like there are things because okay, so there's the main character and her brother, and there's like stuff happening with their family, right? That uh, they kind of delve more into it in why it's happening. Not 100%. There's still some like okay, but questions and stuff.
Ambiguity.
Mm-hmm. And then there's this new family that's happening. The little boy, and then his brother and his dad. Um, like Mike, I don't know. Like I just feel like I don't know if they're expecting a sequel, but to
I hope not.
me, yeah, to me it just didn't.
Let it die.
Yeah, basically, like it just it wasn't as the story wasn't intriguing, and there's just a lot of like why would you do that? You know what I mean? Like just questionable things personally in the
Yeah.
story. Um, that one I definitely wouldn't recommend watching in the theaters personally.
Yeah, it was
Um,
disappointing because
yeah,
I wanted to be able to say that I'd recommend something like that.
yeah, yeah. It's just it wasn't really. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it was disappointing. But I don't know. Maybe you have a better critique about it.
Yeah, sure. Sure. Whatever. No. Okay. So let's go over some spoiler alert plot and we'll get into the discussion of it.
Hmm.
So the beginning of the movie is damn it. The beginning of the movie is set in, I think, either Washington or Oregon. I
Hmm.
would imagine somewhere inland a little bit because it's very, you know, foggy.
Yeah.
Uh, it follows. God, what's his first name? It doesn't matter. Uh, Mr. Weaver. I don't know why I remember his last name. Uh, Weaver Senior runs this meth lab in a abandoned construction site deep underground, and he's got his kid, one of his kids, waiting up top in a pickup truck. He seems like a nice dad, yada yada, and then you realize, oh shit, he's going down to a meth lab. So he goes down to the meth lab, and there's his accomplice, and they're hearing these screams. And
Yeah.
keep in mind, this is a freaky fucking meth lab. Like, there's some tarping and a little bit of light, and it's all in like this mining area under construction. They're like, oh, what the fuck? You said no one was supposed to be here until like fucking after whenever Kwanzaa or something. I don't fucking know. They're like,
Mm.
oh, there isn't, and they venture further into the mining area, and there are these bags filled with like what I would imagine are like bones or remains hanging, and I guess this is shorthand for like don't fucking cross this area, but
Yeah.
they fucking do, and lo and behold, they're attacked, and it's done in this kind of like pitch black. The scene is illuminated by the gunfire kind of shot,
Hmm.
which I'm always half and half about sometimes. I think it's an effective scene if you know what you're doing,
Yep.
or an effective style of shooting if you know what you're doing. And I didn't particularly think it was all that well done. Anyway, the young Weaver is in the car, hears some screaming, asks for dad, walks through the main entrance, which is pitch black, down into the cellar area. And then
Hmm.
it's 3 weeks later, or 3 or 4 weeks later, and we are in the main setting, which is like this classroom area. Uh, Carrie Russell, I don't know the name of her character. Really was not all that memorable. Not her. Her performance is pretty good, um, but the name of the character is pretty unmemorable. So I won't go there. Carrie Russell's character is like I would say like a sixth grade teacher. She's teaching kind of like history or some kind of folklore. And the middle weaver, Ethan, I think his name
Mm,
is obviously showing signs of abuse, trauma. He doesn't really seem to have any friends or communicate or really engage with the class. And Carrie Russell's character empathizes with that. As we learn later on, she is uh, recently returned to Oregon to kind of make amends with her brother, the sheriff of the town, because she was the subject of abuse from a mentally unstable father.
yes.
So we've kind of set up a bit of parallel because, spoiler alert, Ethan is taking care of his father and his brother who are infected with the
Mm,
Wendigo. I they really white personed the shit out of the whole Wendigo story. Like, oh hey, let's put a couple of like horror tropes in there to stop it. Oh, but you have to do this. Um Essentially Ethan, who was not there when the father and the younger son were beset upon by the Wendigo, uh has locked his father and little brother up and is feeding them like uh stray animals, like animals that he finds along his walks. He's very reclusive, he's very solitary. uh this kind of parallels what Kerry Washington's character went through. Someone who is taking care of an abusive and mentally unstable person, the
mm,
traumatic toll it takes. I was really hoping they would lean more into this, and they really didn't. Besides the point, um, we'll get into that in a moment. Carrie Russell's character urges her brother. Her brother doesn't fucking do anything because, well, he's a cop.
right.
So then she goes to the principal, and the principal's like, "Oh, that's just the system. I can't do anything." So the principal fucking sucks. And then she's like, "Wait, I'm a human being." So she drives to the person's house and unknowingly unlocks the entrance to where Weaver Senior and young Weaver are being held, and is eaten the fuck alive by Weaver Senior. Oh yeah, if I hadn't fucking mentioned, the Wendigo has an insatiable urge to feed on human flesh, and then proceeds, once feeding on human flesh, to turn into the Wendigo. He's his his original form is that of a junkie, and then a slightly bloated hair loss junkie, and then he starts to sprout antlers from his mouth and from his body, as if the Wendigo is like growing within him. So a string of murders take place. Uh, Ethan Weaver is taken and adopted momentarily or temporarily adopted by Carrie Russell's character. Uh, we find out from the token Native American character that oh, the backstory, the Wendigo, and how to kill it. And you can't really kill it. It just transfers onto someone else, and yada yada. Uh, Eventually, Carrie Russell figures out where the thing is, and that it has kidnapped Ethan, or that Ethan has gone with it, because Ethan believes that if he is like it, then it will love him. That whole concept of abuse. If I do this for him, he'll love me. If I do this, it'll be enough.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which then proceeds to be the third act, where Carrie Russell murders the fuck out of the Wendigo, pulling out its heart and killing it, and murdering the child, who then becomes the next Wendigo. Rather awfully, if I may add, which I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how I felt about. So the ending of the film is Carrie Russell and Carrie Russell's brother, Jesse Plemons. Again, I don't know the character's name, not worth remembering, who is the sheriff, adopting Ethan. And the ending of the movie is Jesse Plemons' character uh, coughing up black blood, which is the indication that he is going to be the next Wendigo, or the Wendigo has possessed him. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I, uh, I, I really was excited. No, let me rephrase that. I was anticipating this movie. This movie's advertising began sometime before the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
about 2 years ago, and it was supposed to come out, you know, post 2000, like early 2000. Not happening. They pushed it back. Late 2000. Nope, had to push that back. Or I mean, 2020, 2020. Uh, then mid 2021. Like they've been pushing this sucker back for a while. So it was a movie that I thought was like, hey, this will be a fun little popcorn movie. And then it kept getting pushed back, and I was like, oh, my anticipation for this is growing a little bit because it looks fun. It looks interesting. I won't deny right off the bat, I do find
Mm-hmm.
it to be a very visually striking movie. It
Mm-hmm.
it's very cold and cozy, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Like cold colors, rain, fog, um, like siren car lights or siren police lights with fog. Like it is a very like cool overall look. And the sets and all that really have this kind of cozy, look that I just really enjoy. If I were to say something, I feel like the look of this movie is just something that like resonated with me, even though I feel Last Night in Soho was more visually striking and a
Mm-hmm.
far more well directed and far more well visualized film. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so let's see. Let's backtrack from what I was talking about the color. Um, shit. Damn it, Harry. Where was I? Rezip.
You were. Oh fuck.
God damn it.
I know you're
Okay.
comparing it to Soho,
Right.
visually
God
wise.
damn it, Robitussin. Okay.
Were you that? Yeah,
So,
that.
fucking damn it, Harry. You can't. I need you to hold my hand, man. I'm impaired. God damn it. Friends don't let other friends drink. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not drinking. So okay, let me just get straight into how I feel about this.
Yeah.
Um, I do like how it looked. That's what I was trying to
Mhm.
say. I feel like some of the sound design was really good. Like the shrieking in the beginning that
Yeah.
scares the shit out of the fucking junkies. I was like, wow, that's some good shit. Like that kind of stuff I love when it's like there's a tunnel and you're fucking hearing shit. That
Yeah.
gets me. Like there's a lot of stuff that I thought really worked. Like the idea of like the hook necessarily, which maybe not
Mhm.
be a whole lot, but like the hook got me. The hook, I was like, okay, I'm into this. I'm all for it. And I feel like somewhere along the late second act, early third, I was done. I don't think
Mhm.
anything really coalesced. I feel like I don't mean the Native American or the token Jesus.
Yep.
I don't mean the token Native American part as an insult to the actor. I've seen that actor a whole bunch. I think his name is God Graham. Let me look him up. Graham. There we go. Graham Greene. I like this actor, Graham Greene, but he plays like a one note character, and it's like he's there to be like the exposition guy and nothing else.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have a stake in like the last portion of the movie.
Right.
So
And he was there when they first when the main character's brother goes into the cave, right? Because he's like an ex cop or something like that, or is that someone
yeah,
else? Okay. Okay.
yeah, the ex cop. He's the ex sheriff.
Yeah.
Um, but like all he does is just like exposit stuff. There's really no like he doesn't have anything to really sink his teeth into, which kind of
Yeah.
bums me out. He actually has, for anyone interested, I think Wind River. does a better job dealing with like the reservation native or the indigenous reservation kind of crime bit way better
Yeah.
than this movie does. So if
Yeah.
anyone's interested, Wind River, it's really good. Jeremy Renner, Elizabeth Olsen, Graham Greene, really great fucking movie. Went completely under a lot of radars. Anywho, um, the biggest thing that bothered me, I think, was the ending.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
so in the this'll I'll bring this around to a point soon, I promise. In the short story, Carrie Russell's character is not an alcoholic. She's what she is in this. She does not suffer apparently from she evidently does not suffer from any kind of trauma. She's just kind of a person who's just trying to be a good person and take care of Ethan and make sure that he gets out of trouble and that he's got an opportunity to strive. Goes to the house, sees that something's wrong, and accidentally releases the thing without getting killed. They had to, pad the runtime a bit by changing it up a little. But the ending of the story, the writing is that Weaver Senior and Baby Weaver, or Mini Weaver or Little Weaver, are looking for Ethan,
Mhm.
and Carrie Russell's character, or the book version of her, that character, uh, builds a fire in the middle of her house with the kid next to her, fending off the beast and the Wendigo and the little baby Wendigo, right?
Right.
And she has this moral quandary as to whether or not she should give the child to the Wendigo, because the Wendigo says, "Just give me the child and I'll let you live."
Right.
The next morning, a police car goes to the house, finds her body, and the kid is gone. And that's the ending of the fucking story, right?
Mhm.
Where it's like there's no extra thing to it, there's no nothing. And it kind of leaves you hanging like, "Oh, that's kind of a I don't know how American audiences would feel about an ending like that." I'd be fine with it personally.
Yeah.
But having said that, this adds this abuse subtext, and I'm down for it, right? Like
Yeah.
it makes sense. Like, oh, this could be a parallel for like alcohol abuse or drug abuse. Like my parent is turning into a monster, and I'm doing these things in the hopes that he'll love me, right? And I'm doing these
Right.
things to take care of my family because I'm the only one who can, right? And
Mhm.
now you have Carrie Russell's character who is also that character. And I thought that was a solid choice. I thought that was a great choice to give that character that ability to empathize. They just don't do anything else with it
Yeah.
because they imply that Jesse Plemons' character, the younger brother in the movie, was
Yeah.
also abused.
Right.
Like, there's a moment where he says, "Who do you think, or you're not the only one who he did things to. Like, you have any idea what he did to me when you were gone?" So
Right.
there's the idea that he is abused and he is a traumatized character.
Mhm.
And I think what they were trying to go with is that trauma like continues trauma,
Mhm.
but it didn't sit well with me that how I don't know. I think because I'm an American and I have, a predisposition to an American audience, that I'm like, well, you can't just make a movie where like the traumatized kid, you know, just becomes the monster. But like
Right.
if it had been the beginning of the movie, he's traumatized, but he's starting to show abusive signs,
Yeah.
and he kills the Wendigo midway through the movie and takes on that ability, I think that would have been far more powerful. That
Mhm.
trauma can manifest and turn you into a terrible person. it can do that if it's not handled. If people who go through trauma are not inherently like or how do I put it? Are not like mm, nah, goddamn Robitussin. Um the idea that like going through trauma immediately means like you're gonna come out, the other side better.
Yeah.
Like what kills me is like this guy who isn't a terrible person. Like there are a couple lines where it's like, oh hey, I hate doing this job, but I have to evict these people and it sucks. Or like,
Right.
hey, can you not touch my stuff? Like there are a couple moments where there's friction between him, Jesse Plemons, and Kerry Russell, but it's like he's an overall like he's kind of a boring character. Like there's really nothing to him other than like
Yeah.
the abuse. But it's like, what does that say where it's like you have this guy who it seems like is inwardly kind of trying to internalize his abuse, and midway through the movie is like handling it a little bit with his sister, and at the end of the movie he's, I don't know, I guess fine, but like the idea is
Right.
that you can't escape your trauma even if you work past it. I think it would have been far more interesting if like Kerry Russell's character leaves, right?
Mm.
And Jesse Plemons' character stays, and he's the one who gets abused. Kerry Russell comes back to try to sort this stuff out, right? But Jesse Plemons' character doesn't have the ability to fix it, and he doesn't have the tools to fix his trauma. And that's where I think it would be interesting if midway through the movie he becomes the Wendigo instead of, because I think it he becomes part of the lesson, not like this shitty lesson where it's like your trauma is just going to get you eventually. Because
Right.
Kerry Russell could have been the character to grow past their trauma and end that cycle of abuse, or the other
Mm-hmm.
way around. Because it's like I don't think Jesse Plemons' character should have been the person to get the thing. Because it's like they made this stupid like, oh, you have to pay the price, like cliche midway through the movie where it's like, oh, you can't kill the Wendigo, it only transfers. And Carrie Russell just fucking murks Papa Weaver and Baby Weaver, and they're having this cute little discussion about how they're gonna raise Ethan or whatever his fucking name is. And it's like I'm
Um.
thinking to myself, wait, shouldn't she be the one to like end, I mean, she shouldn't be the one, but like as this character, like she's in this position where she could be the one to end the cycle of violence, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
she becomes the Wendigo or something because she's the one who, in terms of the narrative, she left to escape her trauma, left her brother, and then comes back with all this extra baggage too, and is
Mm-hmm.
unable to get past it. But Jesse Plemons also seems like he has this internalized stuff too. But the problem is that like Carrie Russell's character is the only one who they show conflict with, right? With the drinking.
Yeah.
Like she wants to drink. There's the conflict. If you want something satisfying from that, go based off of what you've been showing your viewers. Like you can't
Mm-hmm.
just do the shit where she's just looking at the bottle 5 or 6 different times in the movie and then be like, "Oh, well, we're going to have a happy ending. Let's fucking like give a curse to the dude who hasn't done anything wrong this entire movie." Like
Yeah.
I hate saying it, but like give her the fucking curse because she's in the position to end the cycle of violence, the cycle of abuse by fucking running off and fucking, I don't know, hiding in the the tunnel or whatever, or keeping
Yeah.
the hunger at bay or something. But it's like it didn't sit well with me that Jesse Plemons' character, who they don't explore at all, who doesn't have any conflict other
Right.
than like them implying that he's had trauma, just get the fucking Wendigo virus. Where it's like, oh god, man, geez, oh god, that sucks. Yeah, it didn't sit well with me. Like the movie had a great atmosphere, it had solid music, it had solid tone, but like it just ruined its ending. Like I get that the whole cycle of violence it can be perpetual or something, but they didn't really say anything. Like, how can you how do you end the cycle of violence? Or it's like, can you try to, or is it even worth it? Or what does the cycle of violence say about, I don't know. It just, it didn't sit well with me how they chose to end it because of how undefined the character Jesse Plemons played
Mhm.
was.
Yeah.
Oh, minor gripe.
Yeah.
The editing in this movie is so fucking weird. I don't know if
Yes.
you noticed, but there are 3 scenes in this movie where this movie will be, like, quiet, and then it'll just cut to Kerry Russell just talking mid-sentence. Did you notice that?
Yes. That was a little odd.
Yeah. That's called bad. That happens, I mean, that's a common, like, technique in editing, but it's like, it was a hard cut. It was no
Yeah.
prior music, no nothing, and she's literally mid-sentence. And it
Yeah.
didn't it didn't work in any particular way for me, at least. Altogether, I am in agreement. I wouldn't really recommend this film. I think Kerry Russell's she's a solid actress. I've always enjoyed her since, I think, Felicity with J.J.
Mm.
Abrams. Jesse Plemons, I mean, shit, he's been fun since fucking Breaking Bad. Uh, Goddamn discount Matt Damon. God, I would suckle from his little discount Matt Damon teats.
Oh
Anyway,
god. All right.
solid movie. Did not stick the landing. Kind of affected the whole movie for me, in my opinion,
Yeah.
because they had like one really good step forward with the empathy and trauma, and then like 2 steps back with the ending and how they decided to resolve it.
Yeah.
But yeah, movie.
Movie. Um, let's talk about, well, some more Marvel stuff. Eternals, dude.
God damn you. Why not?
So I was hyped for this movie beforehand, right? Um, I thought, I personally thought it was going to be a good movie. I was like, yo, you know, like it's gonna. I I had a feeling it was gonna have something lore based. It had to, right? If these people have been on Earth for since the beginning of human civilization, like there has to be some lore, right? Um, and they gave us lore. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I'll let you get into your synopsis, and we can talk about Easter eggs and stuff like that in a second. But um,
Okay.
the other thing that I thought was really good before we went, while we were getting the tickets, I saw it was 2.5 hours. I was like, oh man, it's gonna be a long movie, and I was actually got more excited because I'm like, that means there's more being talked about in the movie. That's awesome. So I was more excited to know that there was more movie to watch. Um, yeah. So I'll let you do the synopsis, and then we'll talk about our feelings about the movie.
Okay. So
All right.
I'll try to get through this one quickly.
Yeah.
So the movie begins about 7,000 years ago on Earth. Uh, and it begins with a text crawl describing the Celestials as beings who existed before most life, who used the Eternals to defend life on other planets, on developing planets.
Mm,
Um, as I said, it begins on Earth. Aramesh, the Celestial, has sent 10 Eternals to defend a pre-civilization Earth from the deviants, who are this uh, species that kind of just eats everything. I suppose you could say they travel from planet to planet, and they kind of just uh, like hunt everything. They're kind of like alien animals that just devour everything. I suppose you could say.
they devour
Um,
specifically intelligent life.
thank you for
Yeah.
clarifying that. And the Eternals are tasked with developing the human civilization and nurturing life. And The movie is, let's see, partially flashbacks of important moments in their uh, directing of human civilization and a cataclysmic present day event that threatens Earth. Um, the Eternals in present day are trying to avert or ameliorate this situation involving an emerging celestial in Earth.
Yeah.
So the leader. Okay, so let's see if I can get my bearings. The movie proper begins with Cersei. The I would call. I think it's safe to say that we call her the main character of the film.
Mm.
One of the Eternals, along with one of her other partners, Sprite, another Eternal, and her boyfriend John fucking Snow, aka I believe it's Dean Whitman, who is the
Something like
Black
that.
Knight.
Yeah.
We'll fucking get into him soon, I swear. Are attacked by a deviant who they believe they've all wiped out like hundreds of years ago. Uh, Cersei Sprite uh, pair up with Icarus, who is the more powerful member of the group. He's very similar to like Superman, strength, flight, speed, laser eye beams, and so on and so forth. Cersei has the ability to convert matter. Sprite has the ability to like project light and images. She can create holograms, basically. Um, they round up, and Cersei gives Dean Whitman the boot, as in like, "Hey, this is my ex-boyfriend. We have to go save the world. Bye." And
Mm-hmm.
Dean Whitman, we see later in the movie doing his own thing. Uh, Icarus, Sprite, and Cersei then go to find their leader, Ajak, who's played by Salma Hayek, who actually gives a really very good. Yeah, she gives a good performance for what she has. She doesn't have too much of a meaningful amount of screen time in this movie, but
Yeah.
she has some wonderful like guardian mentor bits. Icarus, if I may go back, is played by Richard uh, Madden, who plays notably Robb Stark in Game of Thrones. Uh, Cersei is played by she was in, oh god, she was in Captain Marvel, Gemma Chan. This is her second performance in an MCU film. She played some one of the henchman characters in Captain Marvel. It doesn't matter. And Sprite is played by, I have to look this one up, Leah McHugh, who is a younger actress. They meet up and agree that it's best to go meet their mentor, Ajak, who is the leader of the Eternals. They find her; she's dead as fuck. Um,
Yeah.
and they believe that the deviants have killed her and have taken her ability to heal people. Uh, One of the deviants, or the deviants that attacks Cersei and Sprite in the beginning of the movie, uh, as they are attacking this deviant with the help of Icarus, they show that this one is damaged and repairs itself. So they assume that this thing killed her and then took her abilities. So it's then that they wait. Hold on, my brain farted. This is
Yeah.
the thing that sets off part one: is Ajax's ability to communicate with Aramesh or Arishem is transferred to Cersei, and she's technically made the de jure at the moment, de jure leader of the
Yeah.
Eternals. She has a vision with Arishem, and we find out that Arishem is not a benevolent being who tries to seed life on planets, but he is in fact an intergalactic farmer. And by farmer, I mean mass genocider to make more mass genocidable things. His modus operandi is that Celestials need advanced, they are placed within developing planets and feed off of what? This is something I wasn't
Intelligent,
quite sure on.
again, intelligent life.
They feed off of intelligent life, and when a planet has reached a certain like mass of intelligent life, it consumes the planet. And in consuming the planet, it gains enough energy to create a star, which in the next couple billion fucking years creates another couple of civilizations. So they're kind of just highlighting their own need to just keep eating planets by saying, "Hey, look, we bring life. Trust us." Um, and good luck with that. So there's some reservations between how to deal with this and how not to deal with this and whatever and so on and so forth. It's then that they go on a bit of a romp to find the rest of their teammates to figure out what they can do, and from there, uh, Icarus, Sprite, and Cersei, I believe, go find their first member of the group, who is Kingo. Uh, Kingo is played by Camille Nanjiani, who is absolutely fucking ripped in this film. I don't mind calling him daddy at all. He is an eternal playing an actor, playing a superhero in Bollywood. And if that's not like the funnest thing on the planet, I don't know what the fuck is. He has made a life for himself where not only do any of these people not age, but he's managed to to claim that the last 100 years of filmmaking have been like his ancestors. Oh, this is my great grandfather, this is my grandfather, my father, and me in this franchise, and so on and so forth. And he's kind of the I don't necessarily want to say the comic relief, but he's the one who I think is enjoying his time on this planet the most,
Yeah.
uh, which is fun. He has a small camera crew. He has one guy who's lugging all this camera equipment and doing all this shit for him and making a documentary. He's not really taking all this seriously until later in the movie the shit hits the fan. Then they go and meet, who is it? Gilgamesh and Thena, who are played by Don Lee, a very popular Korean actor, and Angelina Jolie. Don Lee's character is Gilgamesh, who is like this heavy hitter, like brawler dude who has like this um kind of like the shield gauntlet things from Infinity
Mm,
War, except they're
yeah.
like hard light and he's just like a fucking badass. And Angelina Jolie is Thena, who is this awesome like warrior that everyone like knows and is renowned for. And she's having like what is essentially like robot Alzheimer's. They're essentially, the Eternals are basically like super 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 advanced like bioorganic robot cyborg androids, if that even makes sense. And her mind keeps like fucking off somewhere and she goes into these violent outbursts. Um and there we kind of get some scenes of them reconciling and yada yada and so on and so forth. And then we find the second fucking reality shattering moment is that not only is there an eternal in Earth, a celestial in Earth that they need to stop, but that these people, these Eternals, these 10 Eternals, have actually been doing this planet saving thing, or planet, you know, grooming thing for
Yeah.
a lot longer than they've been expecting. They thought they've been doing this for a couple tens of thousands of years, and that Earth is, their next 7,000 years or 10,000 years to do this, when in fact they've been doing this for millions of years, cultivating these planets. And what's even worse is that Aramesh actually developed the deviants first as a way to uh, cleanse developing planets of natural predators, but they ended up kind of mutating into the apex predators themselves. So the Celestials developed the Eternals to help combat them. So they're kind of like locked in this like semi state of development and then harvested, and then the Eternals on that planet die, but their memories are sent back to home base, and then so on and so forth. You just keep rinsing and repeating, and this is like this big revolutionary or revelation moment for them. Let's see who's next. So we have Cersei, Sprite, Icarus, Kingo, Cersei, Sprite, Icarus, Kingo, and then Gilgamesh and Thena. This is fucking difficult, folks. There are a lot of these people. They actually
Yeah,
do a
there
really good
is.
at juggling. Um, God, and then they meet up with uh, yeah, they meet up with Druig.
Yes.
Druig is kind of the bad boy of the group. Uh, he has the ability to manipulate minds. Uh, which kind of sucks because he's technically the most useless fucking character throughout all of human civilization, because not only does he have this ability, but Ajax doesn't let him use it, and he essentially realizes late in the game that there's no point to using this ability. Um,
Yeah.
he has decided that he's just fucking off somewhere in the middle of Latin America, sometime in the uh, early 16th century, when Tenochtitlan, if I'm pronouncing that right, I'm sorry, was sacked by the Spaniards or the conquistadors. uh, Thena goes through her first kind of like Alzheimer's memory thing. And the reason she's going through this is because her memories are all in flux because of all the backed up memories, like I was saying, from these people, harvesting the planet, blowing it up, harvesting, blowing it up, and getting sent back to the main area. Her mind is like full. Uh, and there's a big falling out between this point because they're trying to decommission Thena, and the split up with this whole little ragtag group of people happens when Druig is like, as Tenochtitlan is falling, and they're like in one of the highest pyramids, he's like, I could stop all of this if you just fucking let me. And Icarus, being the fucking stick up his ass fucking Boy Scout, is like, don't do that shit. You're stupid. And he's like, no, you're stupid. So that's where the big the big cheese is between all the characters. Um, at this point, the deviants have caught up with them. A fight has ensued in Druig's little village of, I would assume, are like Tenochtitlan descendants.
Hmm.
Do you think that's fair? Yeah.
Yeah, I would
Um,
agree.
yeah, yeah. So that happens, and Don Lee's Gilgamesh is killed trying to save Thena, who is having another like
Episode.
psychotic like memory break. Yes, Harry?
No, I'm just saying she's having an episode.
Yeah, definitely an episode. And then we get the weirdest fucking thing that's not explained at all, is that the deviant who killed Ajax, who has the healing ability, kills Gilgamesh and now has his like punching boxer heavy hitter thing, and has like mutated or evolved or like transformed into a slightly more sapient version of itself. Uh,
Uh,
before this point, it's like this like four-legged like demon looking fucking thing, and then it kills Gilgamesh, and it takes on more like sapient qualities, and it's talking, and it's like, oh god, existence is terrible, you've killed all my people, and we didn't really mean to do all this, but we were created to be bad, oh god, you're awful. And then he just fucks off,
yeah.
which is the strangest fucking thing. But then we find out that we need our last one of our last characters, who is Phaestus, who is essentially Hephaestus, the Greek builder god. He can essentially build anything. He's kind of got like a Tony Stark setup where he's just like fiddling with holographic shit above him.
Uh,
Uh, he is a man who is deeply, deeply guilty for essentially what he believes is the creation of the atom bomb on his part. There is a scene midway through the movie where we get a flashback to 1945, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and the character Phaestus is in the rubble of this village, and he thinks maybe I don't particularly know how they want to address that, but he believes that that's his fault, that this massive loss of life is due because of his acceleration of human technology and that humans weren't ready, and it breaks him. It makes him a cynic until modern day when he finds love. Him and his spouse have a child or are taking care of a child. But Icarus, Cersei, the group get him to try to make sure that he can have a life with his son and his husband, uh, free from, them fucking dying. So they go to Iraq and uncover their ship, the Domo, which has been buried there for who knows how many fucking thousands of years, and find the final member of their group, Makari, who is mute, I believe. Technically, she's deaf and mute, but she's another speedster. She's a really fucking impressive speedster. Uh, Now that everyone is assembled, they kind of decide what they're going to do. Can we, put the Celestial to sleep? What about the cycle? So on and so forth, yada, yada, yada. And it's then that we realize, done, motherfucking done, that Icarus, the proud son, the number two, the handsome, the beguiling, the wonderful, actually killed Ajak. You see,
Mhm.
Ajak was also growing fond of this planet. No one else knew, except for Ajak and Icarus, that this planet was going to be harvested. And Ajak was getting second thoughts. She loved the planet, she loved the people, and she didn't want to see them all harvested and killed. But Icarus wouldn't let that happen. Icarus found some of the deviants who were being thought out from fucking global warming and let them kill her as a means of distracting the other Eternals while the baby Celestial hatches, essentially. And that's when one of the deviants kills Ajak and harvests her abilities and so on and so forth. Um, and that's where a divide happens. Uh, as the Eternals are building a plan or have come up with a fairly solid plan and a device to help neutralize the Celestial, Icarus destroys it and kind of says, "Don't fuck with me. I'm like 90% of the fucking legwork here. So I'll fucking murk all of you if you try to stop me." So he goes to where the Eternal is going to emerge and tries to facilitate its emergence, while the Eternal group that is focused on stopping this kind of fractures a bit. Sprite goes with Icarus because she has a crush on Icarus. We'll get into this in a moment. I'm not normally literally uncomfortable with things, but there's a recurring joke that wasn't quite a joke in the beginning when watching this with Harry that I'll get to in a moment. Um, and Kingo, while ideologically aligned with Icarus, refuses to take his side because he doesn't want to see the planet destroyed, and he also doesn't want to fight against his family. Um, Everyone else, Makari, Drurig, Thena, Cersei. So 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, doesn't matter. Um, they kind of run ground control disruption against Icarus and try to neutralize the uh, the Celestial. Now, something that I don't think was quite built up enough is that the ability for Salma Hayek's Ajax to communicate with Arisham being transferred over to Cersei gives Cersei like amplified abilities. Throughout the movie, she says, "I can't do anything with organic life or human life, but I can like convert matter. I can turn things into like organic matter and so on and so forth. But like, I can't do anything with larger organic beings, like sentient beings." I think that's fair. Um, but we see one or two instances of her slowly being able to kind of bridge that gap. And one plan fails. The initial plan is to have uh, Druig use his mind control ability to kind of neutralize the Celestial, put him to sleep. But Cersei eventually tries to use her ability to convert him into like granite or marble or just petrify him essentially. And during this process, Icarus, hellbent on fulfilling his duty, is ready to kill Cersei. But as I've pointed out, they have been banging for 7,000 years. No, jokes aside, they have been in love and have been like on and off courting and flirting and addressing their loves and whatnot for one another. And he makes a choice to forego his duty because of his love for her. Uh, he kind of begs for forgiveness, flies off into the sun, and dies just like Icarus himself. And I didn't fucking get that until I
No?
thought about it after the fucking movie.
Oh, I figured that's what they're going for.
No, I don't, Harry. I am not a sharp-witted person. Okay,
That's
when you tell me that Icarus the Eternal fucking flies to the sun to kill himself, I wasn't thinking, man, this parallels Icarus's wax wings and flying too close to the sun. Like, fuck you. So yeah, uh, the movie ends with a baby being aborted, late term. Just kidding, not really. That was a bad joke. The movie ends with the the celestial being petrified, its hand visible far out from outer space on Earth's surface, sticking out of like a portion of the ocean. Um, Gemma Chan Cersei reunites with Dean Whitman. Dean Whitman says, "Hey, uh, I've got something that'll really excite you for the next movie." And before he can talk about it, Arishem kind of astral projects over to Earth, and he's like, "What the fuck, dude? What the fuck?" And kidnaps three of the Eternals. Oh,
hmm
well, I forgot to mention bad order of events. Three of the other Eternals, Druig, Macauri, and who's the third one? Oh, Thena.
Dina, yeah.
Uh, why do they travel? They take Domo and leave the planet to do fucking something. I don't
They
know.
went to go try to find other Eternals to try to
To
convince
free.
them. Yeah, they're free. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. And Kingo, Phaestus, and Cersei are taken before Aramesh to await trial for what they've done. And Sprite, who allied with Icarus, chooses to be turned into a human being because she wants to live a fulfilling human life and experience what they experience. Yuck. Anyway, mid-credit scene, we are introduced to Star Fox, aka Eros, brother of Thanos, Prince of Titan, who agrees to offer help to the Eternals looking to free other Eternals. And uh, not to toot my own horn, but I pretty much called this the moment it happened. The end credit scene is Dean Whitman, Jon Snow, looking at a case inside of his English college office and finding the ebony blade. And as he's about to reach for it, someone questions in the background whether he's ready or not for it. And I will go ahead and fucking say this right off the bat. When I first saw this, I called it immediately and I looked online everywhere the following day, Friday, and no one else had this information. And I fucking called it. Mahershala Ali, aka the person they've cast as Blade, says off screen, "Are you ready?" or something. Mr. Whitman, are you ready for it? Or whatever.
Or yeah, he
So
says something like, are you are you sure you're ready for that? Or something like
yeah.
that? Yeah.
So just to specify, just a voice. Just a
Just the
voice.
voice.
Um okay. Are you satisfied with the shit synopsis that I have provided?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I know it's kind of sloppy. That being said, oh fucking well. Oh yeah, and the fucking deviant dude with the sapient powers gets fucking murked.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Harry, what'd you think? I want your opinion.
Um, like I said before, I had a feeling I was gonna like it. I knew, like before we went to watch it, we noticed that it did not get the greatest reviews. People weren't too happy about it.
I still
So
haven't read anything for it.
so
I'll
or
get into
so
it,
so
but
someone at work was telling me they're like, oh, wow, they're like it's actually rated worse than Thor Dark
Dark
World.
World. Yup.
And I guess they're saying that it was the first Marvel movie with a, Rotten Tomatoes, like with a green splat or something like that. And I was just like, dude, it's still gonna be a good movie. What my thought process was that this movie was going to be uh a movie not similar to most Marvel movies. Um and I think that's why people are giving it bad reviews, because it's not your typical Marvel movie. Um and I'm trying to process in my head right now if I was correct or not. I don't think I was too off, but it also seemed like a Marvel movie, you know?
It had a lot of the same trappings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's like maybe people are finally getting tired of the same stuff being done over and over again, or I'm not quite sure why it had bad reviews, but I liked it. I really liked it.
You know what
I
we can
th-
try doing
mm,
next week? I'll
mhm.
read a couple reviews and I'll see if we can kind of go over like a comparison. Next week
Okay.
we'll kind of go over what we liked, what we thought needed a little bit of work, and then we'll address some of the things that I read or that I will have read.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Now for that.
All right. Good.
Alright then.
Good.
Um,
But keep
but
going. Sorry. Sorry.
yeah, yeah, I enjoyed it. It is what I thought it was gonna be for myself. I don't regret seeing it. Don't regret saying that I was gonna like it. Um, they, I think you put it best. They balanced all the characters very well. Each had their own screen time for
Mhm.
kind of describe what kind of characters they were, right? I thought that was fantastic. I think they paired the correct people. I think Sprite being with Cersei was good. Um,
Yeah.
I thought Athena with Gilgamesh being together was great too.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
uh, that was it, right? That's the only people who were together. When
Yeah, I think
they
so.
started grabbing everyone, they were the and just um the flashbacks to, like, once they get to a certain point in the story of today, they do a flashback of what happened in the past. Um and I thought those were timed well too, because you go in not really know what's happening, and then you're like, oh, because I'm like, because you wonder why did they just separate, right? Like,
Yeah.
what happened? And it was great to not put it right away. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Oh
oh, we
yeah.
got it. We got to band together again. Okay, That's cool.
Well, then what's
But
the issue? Yeah.
yeah, like why do you have to band together? What happened? And then later on in the movie, before you meet, is it before you meet Druig? When they finally oh yeah, yeah, it's definitely before you meet Druig, where they show that they get separated and Druig takes basically the humans in front of him and goes off and does his own thing.
Marches him
Um,
right the fuck off.
hmm and like I always wondered why they couldn't interfere. Um, and I'm glad they answered that, right? And seeing the toll of being alive for so long and seeing everything for 7,000 years, like that they had to go through, right? That also was kind of like, I feel like they answered that, right? That was one of my questions. Like, I want to know their experience and, like how they felt with just seeing civilization do what it did for 7,000 years, and what they did about it. Obviously, Druig went off into the middle of the Amazon and just controlled people
Off.
and
Yeah.
kind of gave them bliss, right? Uh, what's the term they say? Ignorance is no, no.
Yeah. Ignorance is bliss.
Ignorance is bliss. Um, and so I don't know if there's a lot of questions that I had that they really answered, and they set up future movies or maybe series. We don't know, right? Um, uh, well, like you were just saying with Jon Snow's character, the Black Knight, and um, basically Blade. You know,
God. Oh
like
my fucking god.
that was by far the best, setup
That
there
was
was.
one of the way more enjoyable end credits, like,
Yes.
teases. I don't think I've
Um.
ever been, like, genuinely excited for one except for, like, oh god, just, like, Blade and fucking Black Knight in England just murking folks with oh god, murking
Yeah.
vampires. Ah!
It's funny because Morbius is coming out, right? I didn't even put anything together with Morbius. Saw that he was a Marvel. It was a Marvel movie. But I was kind of like, oh, I have no idea. It wasn't until after we saw the end credit and you told me that Morbius is coming. I was like, oh yeah, I need to go check out that trailer. So yeah, and then also with the ending with, because we're questioning, right? We're like, how, like, okay, Thanos' brother, he's not an Eternal, but how does he have that orb,
I
right?
yeah, I think he might be, but I don't know how they do that because I think the Titans could be our Eternals.
Yeah. There's just stuff like that it's setting it up. And honestly, one thing that really made me smile is finally having Patton Oswalt in the Marvel universe.
Where?
The voice
Patton
actor for
Oswalt.
the little what would he call it? A dwarf? No.
Oh, right. He's fucking oh my
Yeah.
god.
Like I was
He's
wondering how
oh,
they would incorporate
my
him
fucking
into,
head hurts.
yeah. I thought
Oh my god. Yeah,
I
he's
don't know.
Eros's dude.
Yeah.
He's what is his name?
I
Let
don't
me fucking
know.
look that shit up.
Yeah. But
I got Pip. His name is Pip.
there's, yes, Pippin. But no, yeah, like there are people with fame in our world, right? Reality, um, that are nerds, right? Quote unquote
Yeah,
nerds. They
mildly,
know,
yeah.
and it's really cool to see someone who grew up liking this stuff before it was mainstream be a part of it.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, I don't know, like I wish there was more. It's like, for example, Ben Affleck. Like when I heard he was gonna be the next Batman, I was like, dude, good for fucking him, man. Like that fool is one of the biggest comic nerds out there, you
Oh
know.
yeah.
And it's like good for him to get that part because it's
Hmm.
like of all people to play a big role like Batman, it'd be nice to have someone who knows who Batman is, not just the generic like, oh, let me watch the Batman movies, but like I've read most of or if not all of the Batman comics, you know. So I think that was cool. I think Patton Oswalt being in the Marvel universe is great too. Um, on the top of
Well,
my head,
let's point out first,
hmm?
Patton Oswalt is not Eros, is
No,
not Star
no, no,
Fox.
no, no,
He's
no, no, no,
Pip.
no. Yeah, he's
Harry
the.
Styles.
Mhm.
Harry Styles is Star Fox.
Yeah,
Is Thanos' brother.
yeah.
I just wanted to make that distinction real quick.
Yes, yes, yes. Um, but yeah. I thought that was another thing that really brought a smile to my face when I saw that or when I heard his voice. Um, but again, the whole movie I thought was great. I'm sure people have their, you know, critiques and stuff like that. Um, I think the biggest one that you and I, the biggest one I had was the deviant becoming sentient and then
Yeah.
just getting wrecked by Thena at
Hmm.
the end. Like, what was the point? Like, I
Hmm.
would love to hear their reasoning behind why he had to become sentient, and then have this duel with Thena. Like, what was that about? Like, I'm wondering if they needed that basically the deviant to try to kill Thena for to lose the whatever it's called the eternal Alzheimer's. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like
The
if
Mad
that's the
Weary or something like
yeah,
that.
Mad Weary. Yeah, you're right, Mad Weary. They needed the deviant to become sentient and try to kill Thena for Thena's character to lose the Mad Weary.
Yeah.
If that is the reasoning behind it, um, I understand it. I just I'm not a director. I'm not a writer. I don't know
Something
if it
not to
could
be a
have
fan of it.
it uh I don't know if it could have been done better because it's
Yeah.
just because I guess for the regular
But
moviegoer, they're not questioning it, right? They're just watching the movie like, oh, dude, Thena got revenge, bam, yeah, like. But like, it's just like, to me, it's just like because the other reasoning maybe is because they needed like they know because Icarus isn't the bad guy until the very end. So they needed someone
yeah.
to be a bad guy in the middle for them to be like, oh, we need to stop. And but see, that's the thing though. It's like they had to stop the Celestial from being born, basically. So
So
what's
he's
the
the ticking time clock, and then they have to stop what they think is like the immediate threat, and then you
mhm,
find out Icarus is like the actual threat.
yeah. Yeah, I
So,
just I'm just confused with the you know what it reminds me of?
hmm,
It reminds me of the flag smashers from uh
yeah,
uh Falcon and the
really
Winter Soldier.
poorly developed like villains.
Yeah, like they could have been written so much better or just not at all there, like
Yeah.
um yeah,
Like, yeah, I really do feel like writing them poorly or not writing them at all would have been better than, you know, trying to like obnoxiously or patronizingly give them some kind of like layers or dimension, you know?
mhm. No, I totally agree. So, that's my biggest gripe because apparently that was the last deviant on Earth,
Yeah, that
which
I'm not jiving with.
yeah, which is like I guess, convenient and say, oh, it's convenient that there's only like, a few left to kill, um, Salma Hayek's character, and then that's it, right? But it's just, I don't know. Like, because the thing is, okay, all right. So now that I'm thinking, so Icarus says he blamed the deviants because to throw him off the trail of the celestial, right?
Yeah, to keep him busy, to
Right.
preoccupied.
But he was not aware that the deviants would steal her power. Did he? Was he?
Yeah, he I don't think he was. That's the
And
thing
and,
is
and,
it's
and
like
I don't think he was aware that that deviant was gonna start going after the rest of the Eternals.
mhm. Yeah,
Because
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 potentially Gilgamesh is on his hands, his
so what
death.
I'm guessing is the deviant basically spoiled the plans for Icarus because he started attacking other Eternals and making him realize, holy shit, something's wrong. And I'm sure Icarus was like, okay, well, the first place where we got to go to is, Salma Hayek's place. That's when they find out she's dead. And, like, obviously, Hayek's character gives Cersei the little crest, and then now she can talk to the Celestial. So, like, I guess if it wasn't for the Deviant becoming um, somewhat sentient, the plot would have never happened,
Well, do you know
right?
there's
Or am I
always there's
wrong?
this no, I hear where you're coming at, and I think
Mm-hmm.
the interesting question is like there's some smart ass line in I never watched it. I just heard it because I fucking hate it. There's a line in The Big Bang Theory where uh, Sheldon is being smug and he's talking about how Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones literally does not influence the plot, right? Where it's like,
Mm,
okay, his objective is to stop the Nazis from getting the Ark of the Covenant, and they get the Ark of the Covenant, and they open the Ark of the Covenant, and he still gets away. And it's like, he's still the hero that everyone likes, but if you think about it, like, he didn't do anything. Like, they still get
right,
the Ark and they still open it. I'm wondering, like, if where you would apply that to the Eternals. Like, where's the utility for all these characters? Like I get some people are just kind of there, but like,
right.
what's the point of this guy? Could you literally cease to make him sentient and not fuck with the plot in any way?
Yeah.
Because making him sentient, like, I don't know, was weird. Like, if Icarus wanted to just
Yes.
blame it on the deviants, that'd still work even if he wasn't. Like, you could literally just have like a demon dog looking thing, like the other million different deviants you see in this movie, just
Yeah.
kill Gilgamesh and then have a bunch of them like attack at the Act 3 like set piece. But like in the comics, apparently the deviants are like also humanoid and they're not like weird Power Ranger like animal looking motherfuckers.
Hmm.
So it's just an odd thing because it's like they actually got Bill Skarsgård, the guy who voiced or did the previous performance for Pennywise,
Yeah.
the newest iteration, to voice him, and I didn't even know. And he only has like two lines, and they do they do absolutely nothing with the character. If they wanted them to be like one note, two-dimensional villains, that's fine. But they try to do this thing where he kills Gilgamesh and then all of a sudden he starts monologuing about like, I'll get you for this. You killed all my people and I'm the last one and da 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 da. And like I was just trying to live and we didn't help. We didn't control who was born and all that and yada yada.
Yeah.
And then like nothing. He doesn't like stop Icarus for like trying to destroy his like the planet that he's currently residing on. He goes after Athena, and I guess like going after Athena, if you try to think about it, would be like a human thing. Like she's renowned for killing deviants, and she's probably killed the most. And it would be a very human or like emotional or sentient thing for him to do, like very emotional, but it just doesn't work at
Yeah.
all. Like he's just there. He doesn't even muck up any plans. Like I don't fucking know. It's so weird,
Yeah,
right?
no, I
Like
agree. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me, like
because
what they're planning.
if they made the deviants more sentient, they would have to have more dialogue and screen time, and they would have to make a fairly different movie, right? Like the
Yeah,
villains couldn't just be Icarus. It would or the actual threat couldn't just be Icarus or the Celestials. Like the deviants as humanoid beings would have to play a bigger part. But like,
yeah,
why not just go all out and just make them like a generic threat if that's what they were already doing? Like they
right.
literally turned them into like one of each kind of monster animal. Like, oh, here's the leopard one. Oh, here's the minotaur one, or like whatever. So why not just stick with that? Why like I don't know. It just weird.
Yeah,
Weird
no, no.
that is.
Yeah, I agree. It's just like I said, that was one of my my gripes. Like I haven't, like I'm still trying to process like why they made them sentient, but it's just overall like doesn't. I just felt like it could have been done better. Um,
Yeah. Honestly, it doesn't like you could literally just take away his dialogue
yeah,
and keep the shape shifting thing and I would still be fine with it and it
yeah.
would really not matter to me and the
Yeah,
movie would still be fine.
you're right. It's the dialogue. The dialogue is what really throws me off too.
And
Um,
here's the thing. That's a misutilization of Bill Skarsgård because Bill Skarsgård is fucking great. Like
yeah.
he's a young actor, he's talented, he's already got fucking Pennywise the goddamn clown under his belt. Like
Hmm.
you telling me you couldn't like invest in a little bit to put him in some like of those generic ass MCU outfits and make him look all deviant like without fucking CGI?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, I still overall like where the movie like went. It was a fun superhero romp, but like I'm just it was such a weird thing to try to add into like nearly the end of the second act. It was so strange.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, you know what? I have a plot hole for you.
Oh, plot hole. Please.
Dean Whitman was like, "Well, why didn't you do something when you won the war and the White Walkers?" No, he was like, "Well, why didn't you stop Thanos when
Yeah.
you had the chance?" And she was like, "We only dealt with deviant related things, you fucking ponce." And to that I say, you're full of shit because fucking Thanos has the deviant gene.
Hmm. Oh yeah, you were
I
telling me that
actually
night.
know this from some time before. Thanos actually does have some kind of deviant gene in him. So there are Eternals on Titan. That's the thing. And or there were. They're like a civilization of Eternals or something on there. I don't know how they're going to work that into the MCU, but like Thanos has that gene
Yeah.
unless in this
Thanos
universe
got
he doesn't.
genes.
Yeah, big ass genes. He's got mom genes.
Mm.
Yeah, so unless like he was just fucking born from like Space Grimace instead of having some of that gene in him, like that's a big
Right.
fucking hole, brother. Honestly, I do think the non-aggression thing was kind of silly. Like, oh, we couldn't get involved in any of these fucking galaxy ending events. I guess. I mean, it makes sense that like they're all split up and like they don't want to do that shit. Like, why would I
Yeah.
fucking care? Say what you will, but it's like they also care about the planet, so why didn't they like, when they found out there was a wormhole fucking up the planet, in New York or, you know, when when the dark elves were invading or, all this other fucking shit. Whatever. Doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
It's still a movie with some shit explanations. Um, you know what I think I was the most kind of disappointed for?
Hmm.
There was no introduction of mutants.
Mutants? Oh yeah.
Mhm. They introduced Makari in the modern era last, and she has a couple fun scenes with Druig throughout the flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And when she is in Domo in the modern era, when they first meet her, she's got all this Egyptian shit, right?
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, man, as soon as I split ways with you, Harry, when we were talking, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
was thinking to myself, why the fuck did we not see Apocalypse or hear something about him? Like, ah, that would have been so interesting.
Yeah.
Or, oh man, wait, fuck the Celestials. Why not just introduce Apocalypse? No, that might be a little odd. But like there are so many avenues where they could introduce him, where it's like, oh, we could have done something with Ensabat. His name is Ensabaner, I think.
Okay.
We could have done something where it's like the introduction starts with the Eternals, or oh, we can do something with Kang when he
Mm-hmm.
travels back in time to Egypt and he arms the guy, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like there were some opportunities where it's like I feel like they either have a plan already to introduce the mutants
Mm-hmm.
or they're not laying down a foundation, in my opinion. Where it's like I thought because fuck it. This movie all of these movies are less movies and more just fun building blocks to another like nebulous movie. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh hey, we're not going to tell a completely full story, and we can get away with like characters just sitting shit out, like Kingo. Like we can
Yeah.
afford to do that because he'll obviously be back in another movie. We don't have to have him resolve shit because this isn't technically a standalone film. I feel like foundation isn't being set for mutants. Like I feel like they could have done something with the fucking uh the mutants in Loki. I feel like they could have done something with the snap or the destruction of
Right.
the Infinity Stones. They could have done something in this. But they're just fucking teasing vampires. Are you fucking kidding me? Like don't get me wrong. Oh man, I I was so impressed with myself for calling that shit in the end. But
Yeah.
like I would take mutants over fucking vampires any time of day. Like seriously.
Yeah. I've been raving about, you know, X-Men being, you know, part of this universe for a while now.
Like
So
they're
I
getting
agree.
into like this cosmic like stuff, right? Where this is like the
Yeah.
perfect instance where they could be introducing the Fantastic Four and
Mm-hmm.
some of the more like cosmic-y aspects or like science well, not science fiction-y, but like outer spacey aspects of the X-Men, right? Where it's
Yep.
like, ugh, I'm sure there's a plan. I mean, I'm certain they're going to be doing something. But at the end of the day, it's just like I feel like there's some like things that they could try to do, like how I was saying before. These movies are less movies and more just like
Hey, I gotta pee real
snazzy
quick.
movie.
Keep
God
talking, but I'll be right
damn
back.
it,
I need to get
Harry!
piss.
Don't. Oh God damn it! Fuck. Jesus fucking Christ, Harry! Why? Oh man. This is the first. This is the first. It's all downhill from here. God, I hope you're happy, Harry. I hope you're happy taking your tinkle, taking your Harry tinkle. You bastard. God, don't you walk away from me. I know your name. I know your number. I know where you live. Can you believe this, folks? Can you believe this, Demetrius? That he would just do this to us? Nobody walks away from me. Man, he's really going for it. I can't hear him. I'm glad I can't. But I wish he could hear me mocking him. Trying to talk about X-Men. Don't even know X-Men. I don't even know any X-Men. Why does Eros look like Harry Osborn? Ugh. God, that's not an attractive look. He looks like a fucking owl. Ugh. For anyone wondering, I'm surfing the web and looking at Eros, aka Harry Styles. This wonderful scene in the end credits when he's walking out from the shadows, and I almost expected David Bowie. Yep, believe it or not, man, that is a long PP. God, man. I hope you realize you're destroying this right now. I'm not I'm not charismatic enough to hold the thing on my own. What the fuck is it going to be hitting the mark with Mark and Mark? Getting hit by myself? By me? God,
I'm back.
fuck you.
I'm sorry.
I hope you're happy with yourself. I
I
really hope you
am.
do. I don't think you are. I think you're satisfied that you pee-peed, but that's
Yes.
about it. God,
Yeah.
you are just awful.
So you're saying they're going this galactic direction or cosmic
Was that what I
direction?
was saying? I don't think that was the last thing I was saying. I think I was saying something else right before you came in.
Oh, yeah.
You know
What
what?
are you
No,
saying?
fuck you. I'll go back. Yeah, they have like some things that I think would go really well with the new IPs that they got.
Mm,
I know that they're wondering like the logistics of how to integrate them, and it probably took a little time for them to figure out what to do, but I don't think these new movies quite have the same theme that the first three phases had, and they need to start. I don't know. I don't know if building more of that universe is going to help them, or trying to invest more in individual works, but
yeah.
I don't know. Some of their work is starting to dip a bit. I don't
Hmm.
necessarily know what it is about people reviewing this movie. I actually enjoyed it. I'll skip some of the stuff that I was talking about before, but I
Yeah.
really thought they juggled these characters, I think, as well as a Marvel movie could, right? Like,
Yes.
I was really impressed with the dynamics that you kind of got with every single one of these characters. Almost all of them kind of got like a quick, readily identifiable like character quality, right? Like
Yeah.
Joke is the bad boy, Icarus is like the straight-laced hero or thinks he is. Uh I think the only ones who kind of get shafted a bit are Cersei and Sprite. Uh
Yeah.
but you know, Angelina Jolie, Gong Li, uh most of these characters, even Kingo has some great characterization. But like it's not just the characterization, but the interaction. Like Kingo kind of looks up to Icarus a bit as his bud, as his boss.
Yeah.
Uh, Icarus and Druig have kind of like a brother rivalry, and then Druig and Makari have kind of like a flirtatious relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And then like there are so many different like levels of interaction between all these characters. Like I was just listing a couple of them, but like it's
Right.
so fun seeing some of these second by second things that these characters will say to one another. And it's like they for the most part, most of them are juggled fairly well between 2.5 hours at 10 people. Like
Yeah.
that's 10 people that like you have no prior investment in, that I do think you build up a bit of a relationship with for the most
Mm-hmm.
part. Like Hephaestus is the reluctant pessimist who's, you know, the builder and is kind of sassy, and then, you know, of course again with Druid, he's the bad boy, the strong silent bad boy. You have the playful Makari who's the speedster. She's like strong-headed, like adorable kind of thing. But it's like I think that was more enjoyable than I would have expected. I
Yeah.
unlike you, I actually went in with no real expectations. I kind of just like, oh, it looks interesting. Some of the like the cinematography looks a little bland, but I think over the most part, it's probably going to end up exactly like every other Marvel movie. I was impressed that I think it handled itself a little bit better than that. I do want to read the reviews and see what it is that they're griping and moaning about.
Hmm.
And then I want to see if I can like look at the structure of the movie itself. Like,
Yeah.
when you're looking at something and like I was saying before where it's like, "Oh, hey, this entire plot doesn't matter."
Yeah.
Like that. Like what it is that people take issue with.
Right.
But yeah, I did enjoy it. The ending, like I said, was the real fucking winner for me. I
Agreed.
I don't know what it is, but I'm really excited about fucking Kit Harrington playing the Black Knight.
Yeah.
And I don't
I
even
mean,
fucking know what the Black Knight is, but just like the idea of like an archaeologist with a physics degree, like getting this magic sword and turning into a fucking like knight with cool ass armor. I don't fucking know, doing mystical shit.
yeah.
That's fucking awesome. And then on top of that, doing shit with Blade. Oh man,
True. Yeah. No,
that's so
I'm
fucking cool.
excited. I'm more like we got what Spider-Man next month,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Got Spider-Man next
right.
month, which we're definitely gonna go watch.
And
Um.
Morbus,
Oh yeah. When does that come
Morbus,
out?
Morbius. I don't know actually. I am not sure.
Gotta gotta look this up, man. Gotta figure this
My
out.
ass.
Morbius. 2022
Morbius.
film.
Ew. Oh, that has to be like January.
Yep, January 20th, 2022.
Fuck yeah.
Okay, so it's
I
post
knew it.
Superman, post Spider-Man. So we'll see. But no, yeah, I'm excited.
Fuck yeah. The performances were good too. I think
Hmm.
everyone did a serviceable job. Uh, Hats off to Camille Nanjiani for his finger guns, his literal finger
Oh
guns.
yeah, that
I
was good.
That was good. That was
Yeah.
pure. That was pure gold. I will
Pew
take issue
pew.
with one thing.
Huh.
The joke that turned the thing that was real that turned into a joke was Sprite. Um
Oh yeah, 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 that was your gripe. Less for
yeah.
me. I honestly I just didn't even I didn't even see it. I didn't even pay attention to it. But you're not wrong.
Yeah, no. This is me being me, I guess. But like so I so the whole point of her part is that you come to realize that she's envious that she was created in the likeness of a little girl. She's like supposed to be a 12-year-old in the movie, or like an eternal in the form of a 12-year-old girl, unable to kind of like experience life as an adult because she's perceived as a child because she's literally a fucking child. Um, and that's why she chooses at the end to be turned into a human being to kind of just enjoy life. But there are some things that they did where they went about it that just came off really creepy. Like the beginning of the movie in the present day when Cersei and Dean are like dancing, we see this redheaded character who I'm like, oh, they can grow up. And I think it's Sprite, but it's like, oh, they can grow up. And she's like flirting with this dude, and he like tries to grab her hand, except his hand goes through hers because it's a hologram. And then she walks off nervously because like the guy like spotted this, and she takes off her like
Illusion.
ability and just like, oh hey, she's a 12-year-old, huh? And I like I like visibly gagged. I was just like, oh god. And they just keep like doing that bit. Like she has an infatuation with Icarus and
Hmm.
an infatuation with Richard Madden, who I think is like in his 30s. And like the way they just I don't know. I I feel like because the actress I think is 16 and she's playing a 12-year-old who is playing a 7,000-year-old or a million-year-old in the form of like a 12-year-old. and I don't know. It came off as weird. It came off as executed like really poorly. Like I can understand like I want to experience life. I want to know what it means to be this. I don't want to be treated like a child. I have the same mental capacity as everyone here. But like the way they went about it was just so cringe.
Yeah.
At least for me. Like if they had done something where it was like she's obviously the youngest, but she's like played by an 18-year-old actor and was like, I want to be taken seriously, da da da. I want to live a life. Or if they had done something where it didn't come from like an envious place where she's literally a child, like give it where it's like, man, I've watched so many people grow old and die and I'm afraid, but I want to experience that. That's the thing that I think would have been more interesting than like, oh, I want to go through puberty and like, yeah, I don't know. Like I get like
Yeah.
human sexuality is fine. I don't have a problem with like children discovering their sexuality. Like don't sexualize. I don't think they were trying to sexualize, but like this
Right.
is a fucking superhero movie. The last thing I fucking need is like the fucking the ethical considerations for like a 12-year-old. And they pulled some fucking Dragon Maid shit where it's like, oh hey, I look like a child, but I'm fucking 9,000 years old. Haha, loophole.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not that big of a deal. There's nothing fucking sexual going on. I just thought it was really fucking weird. That's all.
Yeah.
And I'm done. I'm fucking over. I'm done with that complaint. Okay. Okay.
Yep.
No,
Mm,
no, I'm done. You can't stop. Stop. I'm done.
sure.
Okay.
Positive.
I'm done. Yeah. Yeah. Fucking yeah. Okay. Get off my back.
Okay. Just making sure,
Fuck.
man.
Jesus. Yeah. All right, dude. Seriously. Chill.
I want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Yeah.
Good.
Wonderful.
Whatever. Nice. Cool. All right. Whatever. Yeah. All right. What about do we keep do we want to keep
Mm,
talking about Eternals or do we want to move on from here?
I think we made our point. We did bring up Morbius, so we can talk about the trailer and what we're
Ah,
expectations for it.
more buses. Mm,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Sony keeps doing this thing where they're like, "Yeah, we're going to introduce a dark universe that's so much more profound and different from the MCU," but it just isn't. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's going to be the same thing with Morbius, and they're going to find some other way to suck him into the MCU, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, looks interesting. Because I was bitching and moaning about, oh, mutants over vampires, I am excited for like vampires in the MCU. I want to see that. But with the two Venom movies and how they kind of like the trailers were kind of pulling off like this, our visual style and our like our tone is better than MCU and it's different. It's the alternative. Just doesn't it doesn't work for me. It's
Hmm.
just I think MCU movies are serviceable. Like they're it's not like they're terrible. They just copy and paste the same thing. It's just it works, right?
Yeah.
And it's because it works that MCU is not willing to stray away from that formula. Like but there were some really bad issues with like pacing issues, tonal issues, like a lot of issues with Venom that I don't think you necessarily would have had with like an MCU equivalent. But you wouldn't
Hmm.
have had an MCU equivalent if you didn't get the Sony version. I think the
Right.
same thing is going to happen with Morbius, where it's like, you know, they're doing this trailer where it's like and they're hyping up like the concept of like, oh, he's like an anti-hero because he has to feed on people. But I'm absolutely certain that they're not gonna like they're gonna do the same thing that fucking Marvel does. They're not gonna even like consider him a gray villain. They're not even gonna like it's gonna be a binary. And there are gonna be some things wrong with it, and they're gonna tease how it's gonna be part of the MCU. Possibly it's gonna tease how he's gonna like come up with Blade or something. I just I'm gonna keep my expectations average or low and try to enjoy Jared Leto being a blood-sucking person, so himself. And yeah, like the Dark Universe, I don't think is successful in any measurable way. Like it just feels like a it feels like a PG-13 Spawn, honestly.
Mm,
So
yeah.
that's I'm excited. Don't get me wrong. It's like it's a movie. I'm always going to be excited for a movie,
Right.
and Morbius seems interesting. I've never seen him before except for the Spider-Man show, but that's pretty much it. I haven't seen
Um.
anything that I think is really going to wow me.
I think I'm in the same boat at the moment. I think I guess I got a little excited just because you were mentioning that there is a group with him and other people. Um, with I think you're saying with Black Knight and Blade, but I could have heard you wrong.
No, just yeah. Well, in the Spider-Man show, there was a great episode where Morbius was running from Blade, and that's when Blade was just played by like some obnoxious white dude, or Blade was like an obnoxious white dude.
Okay.
And before Wesley Snipes cooled the fuck out of him.
Yep.
Um, but I don't know. I think Black Knight would be an interesting stepping stone for
Mm,
Blade because I was walking out of the theater and I was telling you like this is what they should have been doing a little while ago, where it's like they should have
yeah.
been doing like Marvel duos or crossovers, where it's like maybe not necessarily two non-introduced characters, but like phase one should have been introducing a couple characters. Phase two should have been like introducing new characters with your old phase one characters and so on and so forth.
Mm,
And you just keep doing that. So you have like a new person and then someone adjacent to that person from the previous phase, just continuously doing that to help build kind of like a bit of a knit.
okay.
So that way you have these two characters and then you could branch them out in a different way. Because Black Knight and fucking Blade is like they're two brand new characters, and I would
Right.
love to see them in a movie together. Because I think that would be pretty fucking interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So but yeah,
Okay.
and I would look forward to seeing that kind of coalesce with Blade. I mean, with Morbius, and
Okay.
altogether, that would be cool if they did something with. I mean, I don't think like a vampire invasion thing is really like Avengers level, but I would love to see something with like Doctor Strange with vampires, or like that group of people, like the Black Knight, maybe Blade, and Doctor Strange, just like fucking with vampires, or just Black Knight and Blade. Seriously,
Yeah.
like the fact that they introduced like a mystic like Black Knight with Blade in fucking Eternals is so fucking funny. It's like the reverse version of Thor: The Dark World introducing Guardians of the Galaxy in its end credits.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm interested.
Okay.
I like Jared Leto when he's not overdoing it. Jared Harris I like. Matt Smith, I have no idea what's going on with him. The dude from Fast and the Furious got a robot looking arm. Cool. Yeah,
Oh
why
yeah,
not?
yeah, yeah.
Tyrese Gibson, there we go.
Yeah.
I did not have to
Um.
look that up. I just have a good memory.
Nice. I'm proud of you, man.
Yeah.
I don't know, but like I was saying, I kind of felt excited because it's gonna be. It feels like they're adding more people. You know,
Mhm.
um, and I'm excited because there's a lot of people in the Marvel universe, and we're still missing a lot of people. Um, so I'm still gonna be. I'm probably gonna be upset until X-Men is around.
Well,
Um,
Magneto comes in.
yeah.
Daniel Craig Magneto. Mm.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I see you've thought about it more.
Hmm.
Okay.
Someone showed concept art of him in like Ian McKellen's like outfit, and I was like, I think he
Okay.
could do so much better than the MCU, but I would love it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I can get behind that.
Hmm.
An interesting thought. Hmm. But yeah, I know Sony is working with Marvel, to bring characters that Sony owns into the Marvel universe, which is dope. I'm glad they're able to obviously have Spider Man, but also they're bringing in Venom and all these other villains from the other Spider Man movies. So um, I'm just yeah I'm getting ready for Spider Man. You know,
Fuck yeah. I'm interested in seeing it. I think honestly I really did enjoy Far From Home, and I
yeah,
really want to see how they don't tie that together, but what they do with it.
right.
Seriously, because Mysterio was one of my characters that I really enjoyed, and I did like the premise overall,
Mm-hmm.
the kind of post Stark Spider-Man story, and I really want to see what they do. I, because like I was saying, I feel like some of the steam is being lost, and I'm just wondering if that's kind of just a COVID thing, uh, or if that's kind of just franchise fatigue in general.
Right.
And I want to see what that means for Spider-Man, because there is still some question as to when Tom Holland is going to be departing from that performance.
Mm. Yeah, you're right.
And
I didn't think about that.
how many films he has left technically. So
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I mean, yeah,
yeah,
at some point he's just not going to be around.
yeah. I honestly would. I think fucking what am I saying? I honestly think a Miles Morales Spider-Man would fit really well in this universe.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm looking forward to seeing that if they would want. I mean, I know that they've been seem to have been teasing that a bit or implying that. So we'll see. But I
Yeah,
mean, again, Tom Holland is he's just I'm so glad he's having fun with this performance. I'm so
yeah,
so interested in the character's direction and where he takes it.
yeah. No, I think it shows that he's enjoying um playing Spider-Man, and I might have been telling you that he himself fits playing a Spider-Man. That
Really
makes
well. Yeah.
sense. Yeah, like he is that younger, you know, kid that is just there, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get you.
So
The oh hey oh yeah hey Mr. Stark yeah,
yeah,
I totally get you.
like I think he's doing a great job of that, and I don't know, he's having a good time. I'm having a good time. Keep it going.
Fuck
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm excited for the rest of the, like um, Doctor Strange and all that good stuff. Like
Oh
everything
yeah.
seems to be coming together somehow, and yeah,
At the
um,
end of the day, I just want to see Galactus as the main bad guy at the very end,
yeah,
and I honestly want some kind of closure.
mm,
Maybe I could honestly see them doing some kind of closure to the entire franchise in like maybe 15 years, but like that's
yeah,
still a long time around, and that's a lot of time.
yeah. I don't know, man. I don't think they'll ever be just done with the Marvel universe. I just think there's like, well, I mean, let's just keep going.
Yeah, I could see
Which
it, I guess.
Yeah, which I'm not too stoked for, but at the same time, like, it is what it is. Like,
Mhm.
am I gonna keep watching? Maybe, if I feel like, um, if I feel like there is nothing more, um, in this universe, then I'll stop watching.
Oh,
But
of course.
until then, um,
You'll keep watching.
yeah, I'll keep watching
Fuck
because
yeah.
I'm excited and I want to keep watching. I don't know how else to describe it, but yeah,
Can't wait until fucking DC Universe actually like pulls its head out of its ass and gets a solid franchise going. And we can start watching that instead.
yeah. I mean, I really want that. Like, I really want a solid DC because there are some really good villains in the DC universe, man, and
Yeah.
I I want to see solid villains in the DC.
Oh yeah,
um,
me too.
so it's just annoying that we're not getting that. We're just not really getting anything at all. That just
We're
sucks.
getting a trickle. We're getting a trickle. Okay. All right,
Yeah,
pal.
it's just
This is a California drought we're going through, man.
mm,
We're gonna get rain soon. Okay.
mhm.
We're gonna get rain, and then we're gonna
See.
get nothing for another 5 years.
So the thing that bugs me about DC is how many characters play characters. You know what I'm getting? Like how many Batmans? Like once they put Ben Affleck as the
Yeah.
Batman, I thought, okay, that's cool.
And
Ben
then
Affleck as the
now
Batman, I'm okay with
Robert
that.
Pattinson and fucking
Michael
Michael
Keaton.
Keaton is
Yeah, so
back.
I'm just confused. Like, okay, so what's going on here? You know, like,
They're
are
they're
these
doing
different?
like a Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
No, just like, are they like trying to do a multiverse kind of thing? You know, like,
Mm.
what's going on here? Like, I don't get it. Like we know, like when it comes to multiverse, we're already like we're already questioning what's happening with the Marvel universe, right?
Justice League. Yeah.
Yeah, we're already questioning it because we're like, we're not 100% sure if we're okay with this, you know?
But yeah, it feels very much like DC's kind of in limbo. I think their attempts to like reinvigorate the franchise with Mm, I'm honestly gonna say Aquaman and not Wonder Woman. I think
Mm,
was the movie that really kind of pulled away from the franchise that Zack Snyder was trying to do. And I think
okay.
that was a better idea. I think at the moment their loose, like connected stuff is a lot better than their like Snyderverse.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing stuff like the next Shazam or whatnot. But I don't think at the moment they're concerned quite yet about like combining everything
Right.
because they're still having some liftoff issues. There's actually a really interesting video that I think you would enjoy about this from Melina Pendulum, or
Mm,
yeah, Melina Pendulum. She's she writes for the Mary Sue. It's kind of like a column post, whatnot.
okay.
Um, she loves Superman. She describes Superman a hell of a lot better than I would. And she goes over like the things that she enjoys about the DCEU and some of the things that really need to be worked on or just abandoned altogether. And I think you would actually really enjoy some of that.
Okay.
I find her opinions really insightful.
Yeah, send me a link, dude. I'll definitely watch
Oh,
it.
fuck yeah, dude.
Um, but yeah, I hope DC does something because like Marvel, like you said earlier, like it does seems like they're kind of like everything kind of is just going with each other, something really different. Um, and there's a point where they're gonna run out of story. You know, there's only so many bad
Yeah.
guys, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I'm just wondering if they'll ever have the grace to end the MCU, or if it's just too much of a moneymaker.
Yeah, that's my thought. I think it's just making too much money that, and you got to remember who owns it technically.
Yeah, I honestly, I really do miss when DC just or Disney kind of just vaulted their stuff, where it
Yeah.
was just like, hey, we're kind of just inflating oh, I mean, I don't like when anyone does that, but I kind of preferred the era when like they just didn't overproduce everything,
Yeah.
if that makes sense,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
instead of
Makes
just
sense.
saturating the market with everything,
Yeah.
like everything under the sun. But it's like what we were saying before with Disney buying up Fox. It's like there are fewer gatekeepers in terms of like who can make movies now. And most of what you're seeing is like big budget superhero Disney movies. It's like
Yep.
they're usually what, three, maybe four of them now a year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Fucking you and I feel like there might be some momentum loss, but shit, there isn't from a production standpoint.
Right.
Oh,
Because yeah, I mean, the thing is, they know people are gonna go watch them, and I'm
watch
one
the
of those
ever living
people.
ass.
Yeah, and
Yeah, me too, bud. Who doesn't want to go to see a fucking like big ass fucking movie
yeah, like
in the
blockbuster.
theater?
It, like they are kind of getting repetitive, but it's still an entertaining watch,
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Like yes, they're repetitive, but I'm still having a good time, um, for now, right? Because
And until
he's
then, give me back my money.
yep, basically. Um, what other trailers were there?
I think that was it, really.
Okay, well, um, is there anything else in the movie cinema world that we want to talk about?
No, I think I'm good at the moment. Next week we
Okay.
can talk about Squiddy games if you want.
Okay. I
Yeah.
guess I'll start it because Livy and I are looking for. We have shows to watch. We just either forgot about them or we're not in the mood for them. So we might just start watching Squid Game just because of podcast.
It's fun. It's fun stuff.
Okay.
Uh, get ready to cry.
Right. Interesting. Okay.
Harry
Oh,
never tear in life.
I'm a man.
I'm a man. All
Big,
right, bud.
big man.
Yes, not afraid
So
fire. Fire bad.
yeah. So I will I'll move over to video games. And so Call of Duty just came out.
Fire
The new call,
bad.
the new Call of Duty just came out. I believe Friday. I don't think, or Thursday. I don't think it came out on a Tuesday.
Sounds immensely like
So
a fart in the wind. I don't even know it came out.
yeah, I know. I didn't like. I knew the beta was out, and I knew it was coming out sometime soon. But when they say it was out, I was like, oh, there's another Call of Duty now. Yeah,
Yeah. It's
yeah,
reached
it
that
was
point
yeah, we've definitely reached that point now. But basically, so they had a beta, right?
now. Mhm.
Like most games do now. Um, and it was, let's just say,
Bad.
we got a few people on the internet who um basically they're no, it's not their jobs, but what they're known for is doing just statistics, right? Gun damage, accuracy, recoil. They get to the nitty gritty and explain everything about the guns and which ones are good, which ones are bad, which ones are worth investing time into, leveling up, and all that. And they broke down the game and they found out basically there's a few flaws. So
Jesus.
the big one, and this is new to any Call of Duty, is basically it, it's called Bloom, ADS Bloom, and I was doing some research right before I started the podcast, and I was reading it out to Mark. Basically, Bloom is um if you're aiming down sight, it has a kind of like how what hip fire is. So it's a random, right? There's like a crosshairs, like this zone, you know, this bubble in your aim down sight where your crosshairs at, and obviously it's not visible, but on your it's depending on the type of gun you run, it, it it'll shoot somewhere in that little bubble. So it's not going to be exactly where your crosshairs are at, but it's going to be in the vicinity of that area. Which um again, this is new to Call of Duty, and a lot of people are not okay with that. People have been accustomed when it comes to Call of Duty knowing how the recoil is, because in competitive gameplay, uh in Call of Duty, um you you get used to the recoil to your gun, because you, especially in controller, even mouse, um let's say your gun, when you just hold down the fire button, it goes up and slightly to the right. So
Right.
if you use that gun so much and you get used to the recoil, you'll basically be able to um make it so it looks like there's no recoil at all, because you use it so much. You adjust to the recoil, right? So if the recoil goes up and to the right, you're going to shift your mouse down to the left to
Yeah.
counteract the recoil. And if you do it so much, it looks like you don't have any recoil on your gun because you've been playing with it so long. You got accustomed to it. You know
You have mastered it.
exactly. So with this blooming thing, the issue there is that you can't do that. You can't master the recoil of a gun because it's random now. It's not going to go exactly what you think is going to go. So if, um, I don't know if they're incorporating that in Warzone, but you have to remember in Warzone, a lot of the engagements are long distance. They're further. Uh, you do have some close quarter combat, but it's not
Same.
always close quarter combat. It's going to be mid to long range generally. Um, in multiplayer, the regular multiplayer, right? In Call of Duties, it's generally short to mid. There's not really a lot of long gauge, but I think that's the issue here, where you're accustomed to getting used to a gun's recoil, mastering it, and beating your opponent in that respective, right? Like, I
Right.
mastered my gun, so I'm going to beat you because I've played with this gun so long, or I've practiced with this gun so long, or whatever, right? I That's just one big aspect of it. Uh, knowing which gun is good, which one has good damage or DPS, right? Where the range
Personal
falls off and all
preference
that.
too.
Yeah, there's a lot of numbers in it, and but a lot of people were talking about the blooming, and it's just, I understand why people are upset. Um, I don't know what Call of Duty is planning to do about that. Um, but one aspect that they really need to fix, and hopefully soon, um, stun grenades actually do 20 damage even when they're not direct impact.
Mhm.
Statistically, in all the other Call of Duties previously, stun grenades only do 1 damage. Just so I'm pretty sure the reason for that is so the algorithm knows that you got dealt 1 damage by stun grenade, so you're gonna be stunned, right? Um, it's just to trigger the effect of you being stunned. Um, and it'll do 15 damage if it's a direct impact. So it being that it does more damage than a direct impact, without even being a direct impact. It's just you throw it next to someone, it does 20 damage, is a huge problem. We're I was a I mean, Mark kind of came out with it first, but Mark was saying that, oh, it'd be funny if you just get a group of friends and just throw stun grenades everywhere. And I'm like, that was one of the jokes that people were saying online. Like, you go to hardcore, which basically uh, makes your health like basically close to zero, and so you just run around and throw stun grenades. You just kill everyone instantly, if not, with two stun grenades. Um, so I don't know if anyone's actually playing hardcore right now because of that issue. I didn't do research beyond that, but those are the two big issues that I saw. The ADS bloom is the biggest one, but that is because I guess apparently other games have that, and also Call of Duty Mobile, which I know, right? It's a game. Call of Duty Mobile is a game. You can play Call of
Oh
Duty on
well.
your phone. Yeah. Um, that has that feature, ADS Bloom. So I guess they're trying to incorporate it into the larger Call of Duties, but I don't know how people are going to react to it. I don't know how competitive, um, in the sense of like mastering recoil goes into Call of Duty Mobile. So we will have to see. I'll probably be paying attention to it because I follow a lot of Call of Duty. Um, what would you call them? People
Channels.
who, yeah, no, people who play. I follow people who play Call of Duty, and that's kind of like their forte, on Twitter. So I'll most likely be getting more information on that. But that's how I learned about this stuff. So, but it's just um kind of like the discussion we had last week about Call of Duty kind of going down the decline. It's kind of showing it. um,
Showing your age.
right. But yeah, that's that's that. Um, when it comes to other news for,
Oh, it's like I was saying,
you
or
know,
if I could just add, and then we
yeah,
can
yeah, yeah,
move
go for
on
it.
or whatever. Again, it's just I think what when I first started playing Red Dead Redemption 2, what
Mm-hmm.
really pulled me out of it was all of the extra things that I had to worry about. It was less a game and more like a life simulator.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, you have to worry about your morality system. You have to worry about like what you're wearing. You have to worry about like your shaving. You have to worry about how people perceive you. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I just want to play a cowboy game. And then now it's like the game. Well, this probably isn't a good analogy. I'm sorry. I'll try to erase that. I feel like they are attempting to add something to Call of Duty that I don't think should be added.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was joking with you, like, hey, the moment we get holodecks and like, we can like play laser tag, but it's like with an M4 and it feels super realistic, then like, sure. But there is a stark difference between playing something like Arma and playing something like Call of Duty. I do think something to the effect of the ADS bloom that you're talking about
Yeah.
would take away from the game feel that you and I have talked about that makes the Call of Duty franchise, I think, so enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like the the gun mechanics themselves, in and of themselves, are not just rewarding. It's also like in relation to getting a kill or like getting the drop on your enemy or your the
Right.
target. Um, Call of Duty, despite its like attempt to seem, I don't know, quote unquote realistic or like gunmetal, like balls to the wall, is not very realistic in pretty much any way, even with Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Um,
Yeah.
but I I think you're going to hit a bit of a wall when you try to introduce something that is going to be pegged as actually realistic. Like, oh, stray bullets, or oh, hey, like ricochets, or oh, hey, like we're going to
Mm-hmm.
actually try to make the difficulty curve a little, a little harder on actual weapons. I think that is something that actually doesn't belong in Call of Duty, because Call of Duty's game mechanics are not based on realism. They're based on tactile response. Again,
Yeah.
Arma is based on something like realism. Like, I get, like, you and I have played Modern Warfare, and it's like we'll be at the Memorial Park or something, and we'll try like sniping people at the hospital, and we'll have to like aim up a little bit
Yeah.
or something to. But that's not how that works. If you play something like Arma, you the whole point behind Arma is that it was really committed to the technical and mechanical aspects of
Mm-hmm.
military shooters. It wasn't, hey, here's the fun feeling, the empowering feeling of wielding a weapon. It's, this is what it feels like to use one in the game. Oh,
Yeah.
here's like bullet curve, wind resistance, and shit like that. That doesn't mix with something like Call of Duty. Call of
Yeah.
Duty is like, they're both like male power fantasy, but Call of Duty is more like, I'm a like one man army, whereas like Arma is like, oh, I'm like LARPing as a Navy SEAL.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
eh,
But we're just gonna have to see. I mean, this is just.
no, I don't want to. You can't make me.
I was gonna say, this is it's one. So the developer is named what's it called? Sledgehammer.
Mm,
They're
okay.
Sledgehammer Games. They are the ones, like I told you last week. They are the ones that actually worked on, I believe, Advanced Warfare or Ghosts,
Oh,
or I could be wrong. And they helped out with Modern Warfare 3.
okay.
Um, and side note, I believe Doctor Disrespect, Guy Beam, actually worked for Sledgehammer Games
Wow.
before
Okay.
he went and started doing Doctor Disrespect again.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
And I believe it was Sledgehammer Games. So yeah,
That's some
that
interesting stuff, Harry.
yeah.
I didn't
um
know that. That's actually pretty cool. And
yeah, so
he's
he
developing his own little games and whatnot.
yeah, so he went and did worked on video games before he, so obviously he did Doctor Suspect the character, and then he decided to bring him back, um, and then but after he left the, you know, the the people, uh, that
Mm-hmm.
company,
He just left the
um,
people.
yeah, he just, um, but yeah, I so and they don't have a really good track record, of just overall game feel. So I guess, I don't know, and a lot of people are saying that uh this game feels just like the Modern Warfare game that came out with Warzone. Um, so they're just like,
Oh,
people are
how
saying,
the
oh
tables have turned.
yeah, a lot of people were saying basically like, oh, this game sucks compared to Modern Warfare, or Modern Warfare is like way worse than this game, and people were saying that, but a lot of people were saying like, this feels like the exact same game. There's no difference. It's basically Modern Warfare, but with World War II guns, which is worse. And that's
Of
kind
World War
of what happened with World at War. A lot of people were kind of upset with World at War because it just felt like uh, Modern Warfare, the original Modern Warfare, but with World War II guns, which felt awful because it's like we just got enthralled with modern guns, M4. the trying to think of the you're running an Uzi, a P90, like these guns are you're like, oh wow, like G36, like modern guns, and then you get thrown back into World War II guns, and you're just like, okay, well, this is you're going back to like semi-auto guns, right? The Grur or the M1 Garand, and you're just like, okay, this is yeah, like I guess this is cool. I don't know.
It's all right. Whatever.
So I feel like that's kind of happening again here uh with
Vanguard.
Vanguard. I'm just
Mhm.
intrigued more in the sense of like, is the story good? Because if the story can be good, then it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter because the story's going to be good. But if the story sucks,
Only so many World War II stories they can do,
yeah, no, I
honestly.
agree. I agree. They've kind of did them all. Um,
I mean, they could
so
literally try doing like the Russian front, or I don't know. No one wants to fucking play as the Nazis, so
no, not at
like
all.
I don't know. They're I don't know. There's yeah,
I agree.
yeah,
But yeah, Call of Duty's kind of
stupid.
not.
No,
Yeah, it's just getting there. You're right. Like,
yeah.
it's just getting to the point where it's just. I mean, for me, honestly,
Crack open the bone and count the rings.
yeah, like to me, it's kind of done for. Like, I'm, I wouldn't, I'm not gonna waste any more of my money to play the game because it's just, I'm done with it.
Well, Barry, it's
Like
just sad that you've aged out of it. You're not a 12-year-old anymore.
a
They look
12-year-old,
Barbie.
yes,
It's
exactly. Um, but yeah, I just like I actually wasn't even gonna buy the 2019 Modern Warfare. You guys did. You guys bought it for me because it was on sale. Um,
oh yeah, because that
and
shit was fun. Like for as awful as I
yeah,
was, fucking playing with you guys was the fucking funnest thing on the planet.
yeah, you guys played the multiplayer to level up guns and just for fun, something different than Warzone, and I don't blame you. But for me, I was more of like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna buy it because it's
Yeah.
not worth it. I've played plenty of Call of Duties, and this this Call of Duty is not any different. You know,
hmm
personally.
It's just got
Um,
more people and a larger map. That's all.
yeah, like it's just my little brother is better at it than I am now. It's like that's all that happened.
When the fuck
So
did Julio get better at it than you?
just because he actually kept playing Call of Duty.
Fucking universe is this?
Yeah, exactly. But what was I gonna say?
But
Yeah, just I don't know. Like they're having issues right off the bat. Like I don't want to say I'm not surprised, but I'm not surprised.
mhm,
Um yeah. It's just it's kind
I
of
get you.
I saw it coming kind of thing.
Yeah, like a fucking freight train.
Yeah, exactly.
I get you.
Just
I mean, to be fair, it's like I would imagine, and someone looking on the outside feels the same way about the new Halo. So I'm
mm
I'm probably got my tunnel vision, but
yeah. So I don't know. It's Call of Duty. That's I don't
I
know
get
what
you.
else to say because it's just yeah, it's Call of Duty. It's gonna this is kind of expected for a lot of people. A lot of people
Mhm.
are looking for new games like Halo, Battlefield. They want the next thing. Like, okay, we're tired of dealing with Call of Duty over and over again. Can we get something different? And
How about we just manufacture smaller, you know, not gigantic, always online games? That'd be fun. Kind of, put the genie back in the bottle. You know, just an idea.
Yeah,
Whatever.
not
No
wrong.
biggie.
No biggie. Yeah.
No big Reno. Like, yeah, I don't know. The more I actually wanted to. We'll talk about the Halo campaign that I've seen so far, but
Hmm.
I'm largely disappointed from what it looks like it's going to be, mainly because of what we were talking about, like the the desire to be big and grand is not the same
Yeah.
as being big and grand, and I feel like that's what they're trying to do.
Right.
So anyway,
Mm.
uh, any more topics, or do you want to call it tonight?
I think that was it, man.
All
Topics
right,
wise.
all
Other
right.
than that, new magic set. Uh, it's good. It's vampire driven. It's in the plane of Innistrad, where
Oh yeah,
gothic horror reigns.
fuck yeah.
Um, like it's not my favorite set. Like, or it's okay. So I started.
It's Zendikar, isn't it?
No,
No, it's not. No, I'm way off.
yeah. So so when we started playing, um, there weren't a lot of like returning to planes other than Return to Ravnica, which was like a few sets before we started playing.
It was
Um,
like what 2000 like
we started
11?
2014.
Yeah.
Return to Ravnica was, I believe, 2012 or 2013.
Hmm.
Um, but so we didn't get like everything was new to us. You know, every single plane beforehand was new. Like there wasn't like a return. Like now we've returned to Zendikar twice. We've returned to Ravnica, you know, a third time too. We've returned to Innistrad. This is our third time going back to Innistrad. We're going back to Kamigawa next year. We've returned to Dominaria, the original plane, from the original sets. Um, we've returned to Theros. It's just a lot of return to old planes, which is fine. Like I'm okay with that because I was kind of tired of like so many new planes and so many different worlds, which is cool, but it also gets tiring, right?
Yeah.
And my thing, what I was, like my favorite plane, is, see, the thing is, planes and sets are different, right? Like my favorite set is the Lorwyn Shadowmoor set. Um,
Why do I keep forgetting that? I'm so sorry.
uh, I really love the the way they designed those sets.
Hmm.
Um, the other thing is like that's my favorite set. My favorite story has to be the Kamigawa story. Uh, because I've read the books. Those are great. I love the storyline there. There's a lot of the thing that sucks about the books, the original like actual like paperback books and the sets, they kind of like there's cards based off of the story, but there's just so many like legendary creatures in Kamigawa that the story didn't talk about every single one.
Right.
Like for
And there's only so
example,
much to do.
exactly. Like for example, there's five different dragons in Kamigawa, one for each color, and they only talk about one. They don't talk about the other four. That goes with like for example, Scars of Mirrodin. They talk about the Praetors, you know, the main Phyrexian
Bad guys.
Praetors, yeah. And there's five of them, right? One for each color, and they have cards and they're legendary creatures, but they don't talk about them at all in this in the book. So it's just stuff like that that kind of sucked. And they kind of stopped writing for a bit, and they started up again, but only on, now they're doing it on the internet. So they're doing it on the Magic
Yeah.
website, and they're releasing chapters every week through that.
It's kind of like when I reviewed the War for the Spark or whatever it was, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like what I had a problem with was the exact opposite of what you were talking about, where it's like I don't feel like you feel like they didn't really introduce enough, or they didn't build a story that like explored the potential of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like I felt like the book that I was reading was like, hey, we'll pay the writer like $10 every time he like name drops something, and
Right.
it just felt like a mindless name drop, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. 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 New Magic set back in Innistrad again. Like where I was going with my little rant about favorites is Innistrad might be my favorite plane, just in the sense of that it is a gothic horror plane, right? Like the architecture in Innistrad is, and just the design, right? Is I really enjoy. Um, do I enjoy every single card? Do I join every single set? Not really. I think they really fucked up when they brought Emrakul into Innistrad. Um, in Shadows over Innistrad. Um, I think they needed to keep. They really needed it to keep Innistrad as a gothic horror plane, and that's what makes it. That's what made it so good the first time that it came around. Obviously, we weren't playing when it first came around, but going back and looking what cards came out of there and the story on okay, so actually there's no story written for Innistrad. They're planning to, and then they stopped and never released it. But just the lore of Innistrad from just um playing the cards of legendary creatures and stuff like that, and just little tidbits here and there about the plane. Like it's a really good plane. A lot of people loved it, and they tend to always release sets or Innistrad during the Halloween time, right? Because it's gothic horror. It makes
yeah.
sense. But yeah, a separate issue now that I'm having with Magic is uh what is called power creep. Um, basically, cards are getting too powerful, but at the same time, it's just you can't make new cards without getting more powerful. If that makes sense, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like you can only remake a certain card so many times, reprint it. You can make new designs, new mechanics, but occasionally you're gonna be like, when new mechanics come out, there's gonna be new decks, new formats, or not new formats, but new archetypes and all this other stuff, and things are gonna get more powerful, and you just look like, oh, there's this old deck that people don't play anymore because it's not as good as the new cards. We should probably make a card that makes it good, and then so they make a card that makes that archetype good, and then sometimes it gets too good. It's just, I don't know, I'm, for example, I don't think I sent it to you. I've been meaning to send it to you. There's a new, basically there's a new Johnny's Pride Mate. So think of a Johnny's Pride Mate, but instead of one and a white, it's white white. So you need two white mana to cast it. It's a 2/2, and every time you gain life, you get a 1/1 counter. It's a Johnny's Pride Mate, right? And so
Right.
they added more stuff to it. If that card has four more 1/1 counters on it, so once it's a 6/6, uh, it gains flying and vigilance. So now you have a 6/6 flying vigilance that keeps getting
What turn?
bigger. Um, as quick as you think you can make it at a 6/6. So how fast can you get a Johnny's Pride Mate to gain 4 1/1 counters? So if you do turn 1 Soul Sister, turn 2 Pride Mate, now
Turn three sword.
it gets one, it gets a 1/1 counter. Next turn you put a Soul Warden in, uh you gain another life, it gains one more counter. Just
Yeah, not to mention
it's
the other
two.
creatures
So
that
you
your
could
opponent is probably putting on the field.
exactly. So you technically can have a 6/6 flying vigilance your turn 3.
And that's modern legal?
It's a brand new card that just came out.
My God.
Yeah. Okay, and to make things even better, yeah, hey, flying vigilance is really good, right? Uh, but let's make it better. After you get 10 1/1 counters, so now it's a 12/12, right? 12/12 flying vigilance is already really good. But if it gets 10 1/1 counters, it now has indestructible.
Mm. If this is for a modern deck, that's like you were saying, that's way too OP.
Like it's not too broken because again, the saying goes, it dies to removal. Yes, but if you can get it going, and your opponent has no answers for it, like for example, if you're going against a mono red deck and you get that thing going, your opponent's gonna have a tough time killing it because
Yeah, I was about to say, you were like, okay, so removal, wow, whoopie-doo. If you run into a fucking red deck, like, there's nothing a red deck could do. There's, like, maybe, like, if you went against another white deck in certain cases, but, like, a white weenie, no. Exile, yeah. Uh,
like that's the thing. Like
some,
most other colors,
yeah.
like most other colors usually are able to, like either they have board wipes or just spot removal. Doomblade. Fatal Push. Path to Exile. Like there's ways to kill it directly. That's not the issue, right? It's just like they're adding these extra. Like it's basically in a Johnny's Pride main, but just it gets better throughout the game, and
Yeah.
it actually makes a Soul Sister deck viable. It actually makes it good because it's like, wow, I can actually like because the biggest issue with a Johnny Pride mate is that it can be a 50,000, but it doesn't have trample, doesn't have flying. You have to add keywords to it yourself with either equipment or a spell or something, right? Like to make it deal damage to your opponent.
Right.
So this actually helps with that because it gives it flying and vigilance, which makes it so you can attack and block at the same time. Um, so it's
Not gonna
it's a
pay.
really it's a really good card. Uh, but that's power creep. So what I'm saying is the card's not broken. It really isn't. It isn't OP. It's better than a Johnny Pride mate. If you compare the two, you're like, oh my goodness, like this card's like way better. But then if you look at the rest of Magic, turn 3, 6/6 flying vigilance isn't that fantastic.
Mhm.
If you're playing the right matchup, it's good, right? If you're playing against mono red and they can't kill it after you put it down, because if you put Soul Sister and then you put that creature down, it's a 3/3 automatically. So if they don't have a way to kill it as a 3/3, right? If they don't have a lightning bolt or something, they're gonna have issues.
Yeah.
Um, and then let's say they do have a lightning bolt, and you play another one next turn with another Soul Sister, and now it comes in as a 4/4. That's you're getting problems. Now they're having an issue. Um, so but again, other matchups, it's not a huge issue because usually you run so much removal to take care of those little pesky little things. Um, it's just there's so many other really good cards out there. You know,
Mm.
um, like spot removal, board wipes, bigger creatures that come out quicker, kind of stuff. Like it's it's nice. Power creep is nice because it makes archetypes that were bad better. So you can play them. But at the same time, it's like it also makes it so it's really tough not really tough. It's just things were getting a lot quicker. Like if you see the modern decks now, you'll be like, wow, how is that okay for this card to be this good? It's like that's just how it is. It's like, and the thing is, it's like it's a good card, but honestly, with all the other cards that are coming out too, it's okay. Like it's a good card, but it's not like the best card in modern or the best card in legacy. There are other good cards that were printed out too, so it's not like the end all be all. Like this is the one card you always play with. You know what I mean? So it's just as someone who has heard of power creep and is experiencing power creep now, I'm just like, I don't know how to feel about Magic because I feel like I'm magicked out. Um
Really?
yeah, like it's just like I'll
Because
play
of power
command
creep?
yeah, like I'll play commander all day, right? Because commander nothing really changes. It's not a competitive format. So when new cards come out, you're not like, ooh, like, yeah, when new cards come out, you kind of get excited. You buy new cards for whatever commander decks you have because, they fit that whatever style, that you make them out of and stuff like that, which is cool. But like, it's not a competitive nature. You're just having fun, with your friends and stuff. So commander's cool. But like, for me, like, I play modern, right? I play it competitively. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there's just so many new cards that are coming out. And
Can't keep track of them all. Hmm.
and it's not that I can't keep track. It's the biggest thing is like the cards that I bought like 6 months ago that were like, oh man, this is so good for my deck, are not even viable anymore.
Hmm. Ooh.
You know what I mean? Because
So, like,
there's
what's the point?
what's the point? Because 6 months later, there's going to be new cards that are better than what I
Yeah.
have.
No, I mean, so, like, no, no, no. No, I get you. I mean, like, so, like, what's the point of even getting those if, like, you
Right,
have an
right.
entirely new set of shit to, like, contend with?
Yeah, like 6 months from now, there's going to be probably better cards. So it's like, in a competitive standpoint, I guess it makes sense because people who play Magic competitively kind of get bored of the same meta. Like even if the meta is balanced, right? Even if like there is no top tier deck, like there's counters to every single deck that's out there, like they get bored of it cuz like I'm tired of playing the exact same 10 to 15 decks. It's like, well, that's the meta. It's better than only being one or two decks, right? Like if you're playing 10 to 15 decks and then modern is was in a situation where like you can come up and play a mill deck or a merfolk deck or you know something fringe, that's not a top tier deck and you can win tournaments with it because people aren't expecting it. That was, as someone who enjoys playing different decks, who enjoys seeing competitive play, I love that about modern. That is no longer there. People who play competitively don't like that for some reason.
Hmm.
They want to be able to. I mean, I guess I get it because their their livelihood is on winning tournaments. So if they go into a tournament and have no idea how their deck's going to turn out, they're not going to want to play, right?
Yeah.
But if you go in knowing, okay, this is like one of the best decks, I have a good chance to win, right? I have a good sideboard for the counter deck. I have a good sideboard for the mirror match. Like I feel good. I played it, a bunch of times on Magic Online. I went to locals and I played a bunch and stuff like that. And I tested with my group. Like I feel good. I think I can win this. But if you go in playing, where there's like 10 to 15 good decks and there's a bunch of fringe decks that you have to worry about, right? Like if you go in and you're not prepared to play against a mill deck, you know what I mean? Like you're gonna have a tough time. If you have nothing in the sideboard to help you against mill,
I feel
you're
represented.
you're not gonna have a good time because it's like shit. They're gonna mill me out and I'm fucked, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, like that's why there's like I don't remember when the last time a mill deck won a tournament, but it's one of those where like it gets super close. It gets close to top 8 because people aren't prepared for it. And then the problem is people start figuring it out. They start seeing like, oh, this guy's 7-0. What is he playing? Oh, he's playing mill. Okay, what's his name? Okay, so everyone starts finding out that person's playing mill. I know how to play against him once he comes around. You know? So
I see
like
what you're getting at.
yeah, so I mean it's just part of the strategy in tournaments, but it's still kind of like when it comes to overall, like I really like that because the mill guy, you know, the one guy who brings mill to a a big tournament can go 7-0 because people are not expecting it, right?
Man
um
can dream.
yeah. um and like years ago by this point, Merfolk won a tournament and they've never been a top tier deck. They won.
Really?
Yeah. Merfolk has never been, they've always been like maybe tier 2 at most. And they won a whole modern tournament. And they beat one of the meta decks, which was Affinity.
Anything is
And
possible.
yeah, and I thought that was great. I was like, dude, yeah, I was rooting for Merfolk because I was like, again, Affinity was a meta deck. We've seen Affinity win a few tournaments already. So when Merfolk was at the finals, I was like, oh, dude, yeah, fucking let's go Merfolk. And then when they won, yeah, I was all stoked. Um, but it's just now it's just it's moving so fast. It's just like I don't like every new set that comes out. There's a new card that's changing the meta, changing the format, and especially now with Modern Horizons, the basically it makes it so it's not cards that go into standard, but they go straight into modern and above, and they shift the meta so hard because these cards are powerful, right? In the sense
So
of magic cards.
the argument at the moment is just like too much too fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like power creep was visible. Like when we started playing, it was visible. Like a Ved would explain power creep to me. Right now, it's in your face. Like the amount of power creep there is. Um, and I don't know. I'm kind of feel like I'm getting kind of burnt out from Magic because of that. Because it's like I get excited for something, and then the new set comes out, and then I have to like, oh, now I gotta buy 4 of these cards because they're better than what I had. Again 6 months ago.
Yeah, it's kind of like hyperinflation, but for instead of like value of something, it's like the value of like the tactic of the card itself.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a fucking
exactly.
bummer, dude.
Yeah, but again, my like I'm always gonna have my competitive modern deck. I actually brought it down to just one deck. I'm not gonna be investing into multiple decks at all. And then just commander, and with commander, I'm gonna be printing out proxies. I'm not gonna be if there's a card that's worth over $5, I'm not gonna buy it. I'm just gonna proxy it, put it in my deck. I'm playing with my friends anyways, and I don't build hyper competitive commander decks anyways. I stick to a theme. If a theme is spider trap,
Squirrels.
yeah, squirrels.
Fire.
Honest. Okay, so I'm going off on a tangent now. Uh, so
Are
I
you?
actually disemboweled my squirrel deck. Um,
What? What
and
happened?
this this goes again with Modern Horizons. They printed out so many new squirrel cards, like for basically Commander. Like they made a squirrel general, and they put out a bunch of squirrel lords or a bunch of ways to make squirrels. Like a squirrel deck is so easy to build and making and to make it good too, right? In Commander, where
Yeah.
what was nice with my Commander deck is it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to win with squirrels because it's just there weren't many there weren't many cards that created squirrel tokens,
Mhm.
right? There's a handful, maybe 10 at most.
Yeah,
And
they're
yeah, now you can build a very competitive commander deck with squirrels, and it kind of ruined it for me because I was like, well, like what's the point? Like the reason what attracted me to squirrels was like it wasn't easy to win with them. So when I did win with squirrels, I felt good. Like, holy shit, dude, my squirrels won, sick. You know? But now it's
Don't
like,
repeat.
yeah, it's like now it's just like, okay, like I can make hella squirrel tokens super easy, you know?
Well,
Like the beauty of my squirrel deck was I had enchantments, I had all these things that like buffed up tokens, right?
mhm.
But like I had no squirrel tokens. I had no creatures because the thing was is like I have a bunch of cards to pump up my squirrels, but I only had a handful of cards that made squirrels. So I had all these cards on the field and I was like, "Oh man, you just wait. You just wait till I get my squirrel." And then I would draw the next card and I'd be like,
And there you
"It's not a squirrel, so I end my turn." you know? Like
go. I remember.
which was fine. Like I enjoyed myself, like but yeah, like Modern Horizons 2 really ruined that for me. It's and the thing is like it ruined my deck for me, but I'm okay with people building scroll decks and having fun with those, right? It's totally fine. Like I understand why people didn't build scroll decks back in the day because it just wasn't viable, right? It was way more like fun deck to play, and a lot of people didn't really they really made it more about tokens and less about squirrels because they had a bunch of other things that made like soldier tokens or plants or whatever and utilize those to win the game instead of just purely squirrels like I did. But that's my rant about how Modern Horizons 2 ruined my squirrel deck for me. Um
Don't
but
worry.
yeah, like
Schools will rise again.
maybe. Um but yeah, all of my commander decks are very honed in on whatever the theme is, right? So I
Uh-huh.
made a black and green spider deck. It's literally just a bunch of spiders in my deck. Um
Yeah, I know you. You go heavy into the theme.
yeah, like the only semi-competitive deck that I have is my angel deck. Um and the reason why it's semi-competitive is because I have if whoever's listening, if you don't know, I love my board wipes and I will have a minimum of like 8 to
In my
10
house.
per commander deck. Um
Mhm.
just love my board wipes. But what helps is that my commander makes all my other flying creatures indestructible. Um so basically I can just board wipe all the only creature that dies on my field is my commander. Everything else survives. Everyone else's creatures are dead, and I just go to town and start swinging. Um,
You suck for that, by the way.
yeah, no, I know. Um,
Yeah, there's someone
and
don't know.
my other competitive deck, which I don't actually play anymore, was my black and white deck. What that one had about 15 board wipes. Um, and a bunch of kill spells. The way I won with that deck was my commander, in the sense of um, whenever I enter battlefield, a target player loses 2 life and I gain 2. So basically, all I did was basically build up a bunch of mana, kill everything that tried to attack me, and then eventually play my commander, start killing people off slowly. It was basically a commander control deck. Um,
I've played against
with
that one, I think.
yeah, I had answers for everything. I had mass board wipes. I had spot removal. Um, I didn't have counters, but I did have ways to interact with the graveyard. Um, yeah. So like, if I was playing against a deck that won from spells, I would have lost because I have no way to interact with spells. But other than that, I can, if they tried to win with creatures, and it's a special enchantment or artifact, a planeswalker, I had my answers. I would get rid of everything. Um, but it didn't win every single time just because people knew, you know, what I was about and try to take me out as quick as possible. Um,
Yeah,
and
because you were a fucking threat. You
yeah,
deserved it.
and the thing is, like, that deck didn't have many creatures. I think it only had one creature, and that one creature, basically, when it died, it exiled everything on the battlefield. So it itself was a board wipe. Um, but yeah, so people could easily just keep attacking me because I had nothing on the field to block. So I had to like really set up myself to defend myself. Yeah, that was an interesting
I
deck.
mean, it always worked out in the end for you, though. I
Yeah,
mean, you were dug in like a fucking Alabama tick.
mm-hmm. The one deck that I really stopped playing because everyone got annoyed by it was my Sent Triplets deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
I
remember
you
that one.
Yeah, and I don't blame everybody. Uh,
I blame
a
you.
a, a deck with no win condition, and using my opponent's win condition to win the game. Uh,
It's just a spite deck. That's all it is.
yeah, yeah. I know. So I understand why, and
Shame on you.
I disemboweled it, so it's never going to be played again.
I mean, that's just disappointing. I mean, it's kind of like watching like an animal like graze on another animal from afar. It's like you
Yeah,
don't want to be the person grazed on, but like you love seeing it. Like, come on now.
yeah. I think that's what I don't know. I just know that people just when they saw that they were like, and I'm like, okay, I'll stop playing it. And I
Yeah, I
went to
remember
play
that
other
one
decks.
time the one time one of our friends helped me make a, oh God, who is that, red, the Jeskai,
Oh
Planeswalker?
yeah,
Yeah, helped
fuck
me make a deck based around like her abilities.
yeah.
Oh man, that was bad.
We had like infinite
That
turns
was,
and shit.
yeah, I had to turn like per person. Oh, it was so bad. Never again.
Never again.
Never
Yeah, because
again.
you were building your Metamind deck,
Yeah, I was
and
stuck with that one.
I think they were trying to help you make a better deck. And that's one thing that people like. It's hard for people to understand when they're like, "Why don't you use like this card's way better?" I'm like, "You're missing the point." Like,
Mhm.
my goal's not to win. Like
My
when I
goal
play
is to get
Commander, my goal
love.
is never like I'll attempt to win because I play Magic, right? I play competitively too. Um, so I'm gonna like at some point I'm gonna try to win because I'm in the middle of a game, right? But that's never my intention.
Right. I get you.
Um, so it's just when people start trying to tell me that like my deck sucks and I need like these cards, I'm just like, no, like you don't get it. Like I think a good example is my squirrel deck. People kept telling me like, "Oh, you need this card. Like, you need to, get all the." I'm like, but it doesn't make squirrel tokens. Like, yeah, but this is just a better card. I'm like, but it doesn't make squirrel tokens. This is a squirrel deck. And they're like, yeah, but this is just a really good card. You should just put it in there. I'm like, okay, you really are not getting it. It's not a squirrel.
How many times? How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Right. I love the young folk. But
Oh, fuck,
yeah,
fuck,
that
fuck.
it's just I don't know. It's just funny to see that like people don't understand that like, and that's something I feel like I said it here in the podcast before. Where like I have a weird way to play games where like I play by the game's rules, right?
Mhm.
But
I
I'm
don't
not
necessarily play by those rules.
exactly. Um like
It's kind of like a yeah, I do, but I kind of don't.
I'm playing the game, but I have my own motives. You
Hmm.
know, like I want I want to aim for a different outcome than winning the game.
You're kind of like Varys or Littlefinger, but with short-term memory loss.
Yeah, basically. Um yeah, that's me and Commander. I'm never trying to win. Just trying to have a good time. Have my
Everyone
like
else has a good time.
I give myself like a goal before I go in, right? Like, okay, my goal is to do this. Like, I remember when we used to play Monopoly, my goal was always to help someone win the game, never myself.
Man, I just wish I knew that like 7 years ago. You know,
So
someone we
basically,
could play.
what I would do is I would roll a dice to find out who I was gonna help.
No.
Yeah, like so I would number everyone, and then my first roll, I would find out who I'm gonna be helping. That was my game plan playing
I know.
Monopoly.
Oh my god. It all makes sense now. Why you would roll twice. Mm,
Yeah,
I hate
yeah.
you.
I don't know. It's just like anybody can win, right? Anybody can go in and win whatever game they're playing. But
Hmm.
when you have a side, goal that has nothing to do with what's happening in the actual game, that that to me is way more interesting.
Oh yeah.
Oop, okay, I'm done here. Um,
Oh damn. Fine. Drop it. I don't care.
um,
Like I didn't
yeah,
like
no, dude,
hearing you talk. Whatever.
no, um, no. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell when it comes to video games in general. Um, like even other video games, like just I don't know, like I don't really follow what's good or what's bad. I just kind of like this looks like fun, and I do that. Like for
Hmm.
example, Diablo, right? Like, um, I can play the Necromancer correctly. I definitely
I
could.
just choose not to.
I choose not to, and I know Yvette, if you're listening, Yvette, I know you really try to make me play it correctly, but I just my mindset is
Stop.
just not going that route. Nowhere near. I'm just trying to do whatever the hell I'm trying to do. What is it?
Stop
I
it.
don't know.
Just
I
want to
think
watch the world burn.
yeah, like I think my goal in Diablo 2 is literally just to I think it's just to just raise skeletons. That's it.
Yeah,
That's my goal.
that's a pretty awesome. Him and I were playing a little bit after you left, and Eved was like, "Man, I forgot how fucking difficult it is without Harry just mindlessly bringing in like bodies
Yeah.
to fucking absorb the blow."
Yeah, like when we were playing Tuesday, so I was playing with him um just to level because I was like, you know what? I want to level up my my necromancer and I'm not able to do that, like we don't play enough for me to like be satisfied with how I'm playing my character. So
Mhm.
I was like, all right, well, I'm just gonna grind my necromancer because that's what I want to do. So we were running bell runs, the what he was showing you, and
Yeah,
basically my minions were just tanking everything, and I had auras that not only help my or not auras curses that not only help my character my minions, but basically we got to the point where Aved switched builds and to the lightning one that he has now. And I have a curse that lowers resist. So you'll occasionally hear me say, I lower the resistance. That means I cursed them and now they take more damage um overall. Especially towards elemental damage. Um so that's probably what he was talking about cuz um yeah, having a necromancer with you is fantastic. What would be
You definitely do a trick for us.
yeah, I mean that's again like my I mean I think maybe that's why I play the way I play in certain games. Um I am a support player. Like I play support. I'm here to help other players. Like I don't choose to win, I choose to help other people win, you know? Um and so that's why I play my necromancer the way I play it because it I just stand there and Aved's like, do this. And I'm like, you got it. Boom. Hey, go do okay. Boom. And I just wherever he needs me to go, I'm like right there. Like obviously like I'm at the point where like he doesn't need to tell me, like I'm already doing it. But
Mm.
it's just that kind of mindset where like my character isn't a DPS. My character doesn't hit hard. Um, but I help a lot. Whether it's my minions just taking a shit ton of damage or me cursing enemies so they're easier to kill.
Mhm.
Um, the way my minions would be really good is if we had a paladin. Um, because then they would be
Holy
increasing
man of
the
God.
damage of my skeletons.
Mhm.
So they'd be going around like just fucking shit up.
Ooh,
That's what we're kind of event and I were kind of
Trima's
yeah,
build.
but I mean it's fine. It is what it is. We're doing fine. Like I'm at a high enough level that um I don't really need the paladin to do stuff.
Mhm.
But
That's right, you have me as a werewolf.
I have you as a werewolf. That's all I've ever needed.
This isn't like a fan fiction thing. I'm a werewolf in the Diablo game, so get
Oh
your
yeah.
thirsty ass out of the gutter.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was my rant.
I like it.
Thank you. I went from magic
Seriously.
to Diablo to I don't know werewolves,
Fucking
fucking
both my
Twilight.
thumbs up.
Yeah.
No, we're not Twilight. That's a step too far.
Okay.
Whew.
What did Twilight come? What was it? The guy from Twilight.
Robert Pattinson.
We talked about him Friday, right? Did we?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Okay. I was trying to remember. Like I talked about Twilight for a second, but I don't remember where that came about. But
I
now
don't
I
know why.
remember.
It's been I don't know, Twilight's been popping up in my life lately. I don't know why. I wish I could avoid it, but
Have
just
you actually seen the movies?
yeah, of course I have.
You have?
Yeah.
What?
Why wouldn't I?
Okay. What is your overall?
No.
No,
No.
come on. You've seen them.
My overall opinion is that everyone's a Jacob fan until they're an adult, and then they realize Edward wasn't that bad and Jacob is super rapey.
Huh.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
exactly.
Yeah. No,
Everyone's team Jacob until they're an adult.
I think the only I've never seen the movies. I've seen like clips from like
Save
the
yourself.
internet,
Save
and I
yourself.
believe I will save myself. But yeah, I've seen clips on the internet, and that's as far as I go. Um,
Yeah, you're not missing anything.
I believe it.
Seriously, you're not. There are far better
Um,
things that Robert Pattinson has done.
really, what else
Oh
has he
yeah,
done?
The Lighthouse.
Oh, that's right.
Water for Elephants Cosmopolis. Like, trust me, take a moment, look at some of the stuff he's done.
I will. I will.
Really smell the roses.
Really smell the roses.
I'm actually really glad that like Kristen Stewart and him have really managed to like go beyond that. Honestly, like they've managed to just kind of succeed past that.
It's true. There's not a lot of like how many of the Harry Potter actors have made it past Harry Potter?
Rupert Grint and Daniel Radcliffe are like they have moderately like mid success. I like that Radcliffe has chosen to do like more side gig stuff, more indie stuff, and
Hmm.
Rupert Grint has a solid TV career. So
Really? What is he in?
he did recently a Hercule Poirot adaptation, and he's in a an Apple Plus TV series called The Servant, which is actually really good. It's a Shyamalan
Oh,
produced production.
okay, okay. Interesting. All right. I'm not. There's a lot of things on Apple Plus that I have not looked into just because I don't know, not intriguing to me. Just and I don't have
Yeah,
Apple Plus, obviously.
well,
I
it's
do
like
know.
why would you get one if there's only one thing worth watching? It's like I
All
really
right.
want to see the Foundation, but I'm not gonna fucking pay a subscription when the series isn't entirely out yet just to watch it.
Right.
So,
That's true. You're not wrong.
but I would like to discuss that movie eventually or that show eventually when I get the chance.
Okay. I'm down. I am the downs. All right. I think we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
mean, we've been talking for a bit, dude.
Yeah. I can't get you to shut the fuck up, Jesus. No.
We are
If,
on, dude, 3 hours 46 minutes.
my God. Jesus
Th-
Christ. Okay. Okay. We have to end this map. I'm gonna fucking do
Man,
the outro,
yeah, go for it.
folks. We love talking. Obviously, you can hear it in our voices. You can hear it in Harry's voice.
Hmm.
I'm being quiet because my wonderful girlfriend is sleeping right next to me. New drop. Anyway, if you like the videos and if you want to hear some of our previous stuff, you can hit us up on YouTube at Hitting the Mark with Harry and Mark. If you want to email us directly and talk about how we could possibly increase the quality of the show, anything you'd like us to talk about, hit us up at Gmail. Hit us up on our Gmail, which is hittingthemark2020 at gmail.com. And if you'd like to make us the Twitter villain of the day, no, I'm kidding. That would be awful. If you'd like to add us or anything like that, you can hit us up at capital H, capital T, capital M underscore podcast. Once again, HTM underscore podcast. We hope you had a wonderful time, and we'll be looking forward to chatting with you next week when we go over a couple TV shows and review a couple video games that we've each been playing over the weeks.
All right. Bye bye.
Auf Wiedersehen, assholes.